We are here with, maybe I should introduce myself. I am Alvin B, the house man, and I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Miss Farrah Lonnie Anderson Lane,
I
which
knew you
is
were going
a
to introduce
little
me like that.
inside joke between the two of us. And so, Farrah, um, Farrah is one of those types of people that she's got a great personality. We just met just last summer, so I've only known Farrah for a year, but that's kind of how it is when you get involved in real estate investing. You meet a lot of great people on both sides of the deal. You know, people who are selling their houses as well as people who are in the business and who just have a thrill for life and wanting to be independent and wanting to go out there and help people. And Farrah is definitely one of those people. So, like I said, I've only known Farrah since last summer. We met at Andy's mobile home investing class, which is really a deal structuring class, which is really a note buying class. And so, Farrah, please take it away. Please tell us, introduce yourself, tell us what you've been doing.
Oh man. So actually that was my very first class I've ever taken was Andy Teasley's Wobbly Box
Okay.
wizard class or whatever you want to, he has all different names for it. But yeah, that was my first I guess introduction to investing. I mean, besides reading, I mean the infamous Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then just researching as much as I could, listening to Bigger Pockets, and I was like, I need to take something. So I finally went to my first meeting over at the Inland Empire Real Estate Club that May, and
Okay.
then I met Andy, and he said he had this class, and I just signed up, and that's what I started doing. I started taking all these classes, but that was my first one. I love the idea of helping people in California get affordable housing. And like you said, meeting great people. I've met so many cool people, even if they're not my buyers or my sellers, just people looking at the homes or going to their home and just, trying to help them solve their problem, even if I'm not their problem solver. So it's been an interesting year. Since then, I've done two of my own deals and then two deals with my business partners. So it's been I mean, four in a year isn't bad. And then I actually someone reached out to me just a couple days ago and is interested in partnering on another mobile home. So it's just word of mouth. People know people, and they know I do mobile homes, and they've only done houses, so they want someone that's done mobile homes. And so I met up with them, and so maybe I'll have another one coming up. So
Cool.
what else do you want
Well,
to?
so that pretty much sums it all up. I guess we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
So
bye.
no, that's okay. So let me dial it back a little bit then. So you said that you first walked into the club in May of
Right.
last year, 2019. I think I met you I met you at Andy's
Father's Day
class in
weekend.
June. What's that?
It was Father's Day weekend at Andy's class.
Yeah, because I don't even think I met you at the May meeting. I'm not even sure if I went to the May meeting, to be honest with you. So, because I probably would have noticed you with your personality. So that's what I'm saying. I
It was
probably did
actually
not
pretty
go.
quiet. I was so
Really?
nervous. I'm a people person, but for some reason, I mean, you have that preconceived like who's gonna be there. I just
Yeah.
thought it'd be a whole bunch of old white guys. To be
Okay.
honest with you,
Now,
and I
okay.
walk in and it's everybody. Everybody's there. It's a mix, young, old, all nationalities. And then from new to experience. So, but it was brand new for me. So I was nervous. Actually, planned to go to like three before that, but I just kept chickening out for whatever reason. So that's one thing I tell people, like, just go, be a fly on the wall, just listen. And I mean, you'll meet somebody that is easy to talk to. And I wish I would have went earlier, but yeah, May was my first one.
So you know what's funny about that is that I always say the same thing. I had actually gone to my first meeting in October of 2016 when they used to do one of the meetings at a local bar on a Friday night. And so
Mhm.
I walked into there. I had an ulterior motive. I was trying to sell a service at the time. And so I figured I could sell this to these real estate investors. And I got over there and I just sat, started talking. And then, of course, Andy comes over and he starts talking to me and, kind of, giving me his Andy wisdom. And then, Todd came over and talked to me. And I still didn't go to a main meeting until the following June. So I waited myself like 7, 8, 9 months before I actually went to a meeting. So, and then I actually didn't even take the class until, like I said, just last year. So it took me 2 years to actually get into the class. So you actually, you didn't hesitate. You got in
I
there.
did kinda.
You kind of hesitated. You think you kind of hesitated. You only waited 3 months from the time you decided,
Mhm.
and you went, and then you didn't hesitate to take Andy's class as soon
I
as
did.
you
I just
found out
needed to
about it.
take. I just knew I needed to do something. Like I need to learn something, and that's one thing Robert Kiyosaki talks about is education. You need it. You need to get educated, and I'm like, okay, well, I took that first step going to a club, and then there's this class, and I was interested in actually mobile home parks, and all I knew on like what Andy said was something about mobile homes and something about notes and yields. That's all I knew. Going
Okay.
to his class, I had no idea what it was about. I didn't get the email saying what he was going to go over. So I had zero expectations besides he was going to talk about mobile homes and notes and yields.
Now, did you
And at the
even know
time, I
what
had
that
no
meant?
idea what yield meant.
Okay, that was my question for you. Did you even know what a note was, or what a yield was, or any of
But
that?
I mean, a note, I understood it was like, like a promise to pay, but I didn't know what he was going to teach about that. I mean, you buy a house, you sign a note, and then you have a mortgage now. That's as much as I knew about a note, and like
Okay.
maybe a card note, something like that. But I had no idea what Andy was going to teach us.
So what prior knowledge did you have about real estate before you walked into your first meeting?
The only thing is, I used to live in Colorado. I was born in California, moved to Colorado in 2008. I bought a condo in 2014. So when I moved back in 2016, back to California, instead of selling it, I was renting it out. And I was making about $300 a month, but I wasn't saving it. I wasn't looking at, doing more. I was attached to this home because it was my first home. I didn't want to sell it. But when the market went up, I saw an opportunity to sell and, just take the money and pay off my student loans. And I saved some of it. And, but this is before I even looked into investing or, if Mick heard me saying I sold my rental property, he would be, you know,
Yeah,
right? He'd be ripping me,
we'll have
man.
to keep that secret.
Okay, maybe delete that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll
But,
delete that.
but yeah, so that was like really my only thing. But I hired a property manager, so she did the lease and everything. So I just collected the money every month. So I didn't really have like experience per se.
Hmm.
But I a little background about what I've been doing my whole life. Out of high school, I started working at Costco, and I was there 17 years. And when I first got introduced to Rich Dad Poor Dad, actually, I got injured at work, so I was at home, kind of like trying to recover, and just I couldn't do much. And my boyfriend Andrew said, "Hey, actually listened to the audiobook."
Hmm.
And I listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad. It took me about 2 weeks to go through the whole thing because I would stop, take notes. Um, and then somehow I don't remember how it came up, but somehow I heard about Bigger Pockets. Then that's when I started listening to that. And then they said to get into your local club. And I'm like, well, what's that? Then I found, the Inland Empire Club on Meetup. So, that's kind of like how it progressed. And then that May, I went and then met Andy, and then boom, June, I took the class. So I don't really feel like I had experience. I was more learning about all the terms. Like when you use that term JV and someone's like, hey, what's a JV? Which,
Yeah.
I only know JV football or sports. So like, that's when I think JV. So all those terms were just so foreign. But, you know, after a while, you start to understand the lingo and you just slowly pick things up. And I mean, I think that's immersing yourself into investing. So like anything, when you're brand new at any job, you're brand new after you've been there for years, then all of a sudden it's like you could do it in your sleep. So I'm not quite there yet, but and I still don't know a lot of the jargon, but I, you know, learn as you go. And if you don't know something, there's plenty of people to ask or walk you through it.
Well, I think you know enough jargon that you actually threw out some jargon to me earlier this week, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that."
I don't know
And
if it was jargon, but you just,
it was jargon enough to where I said, "What is that?"
that information that Andy goes over in that 2 days, it's so much. Like I think by lunch, everyone was like, my brain hurts, you know?
Hmm.
And then by the end of the day, I mean, you can only retain so much information in general with anything you learn. I think the first time you learn something, you retain, I don't know what it is, like 20%. And then the next time, you know, you pick up a little bit more and it keeps on increasing. So I just wanted to get my feet wet, and I'm so glad I took that class because I met you and so many other great people, and you know you hold on to those relationships, you know. So it was a good little cohort we had.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's really the special thing about it because you feel like you're it's almost kind of like being back in high school for a weekend in a sense. Like, you know, a lot of us went on ahead, got hotel rooms out there in Palm Springs, and you know, it was held over at Andy's wife's barber shop, I think. And so it was like a nice, cozy, intimate little setting. And then, you know, Coach was there, and so that was a nice plus. Mick was there, that was a great plus because those are great mentors to have, and they kind of take the information and
yeah,
kind of what like give it a little salt and pepper, right? So
yeah.
so so let me ask you this then. So you talked a little bit about your background. Let's go into that a little bit. Like, who is Farrah Lane? Where are you from? What was your upbringing like? Are your parents, did they teach you about investing? Did they teach you
Mhm.
about money and all of this stuff? Because I mean, obviously, you know, I've heard people say things like, you know, if you want to be rich, you have to be lucky or you have to be born into it. And then I've heard other people say, uh, well, it takes money to make money. And so I want to know, like, what was your background? Like, what were some of the things that you were told about money when you were a kid?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was born in California. So I born and raised an Inland Empire girl. So I'm real proud to be, as they say, 909. But anyway, so yes, my parents actually divorced when I was pretty young. I was 10. So I had a single mom for the majority of my life, where you know you start to understand money and saving and stuff like that. I did receive an allowance for, you know, chores and stuff like that, which I think was $1. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's when you feel old, when you like realize how much you know, you thought that was so much money. And then I, I mean, I don't really feel like my mom taught me. I mean, she taught me how to tithe and to save and stuff like that, but nothing about investing at all. My dad, he now has a rental property in Hilton Head, South Carolina, but
Yeah.
that's after his parents passed, and that was his inheritance. So he's only had that property for like 5 years. So that's just later in his life. But besides that, I mean, no investing at all. I mean, they had their home, but that was pretty much it. No one in my family is an investor. Um, so I think everyone just really lived paycheck to paycheck type thing, very small savings account. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, my mom was a single mom, so that's rough right there.
Right.
So,
So money, very, very little money growing up. And so everything to you was like very important. Every little penny was important, right?
yeah, I mean, if I wanted extra money, like I got a job. So my first job was at Stater Brothers when I was 16. After that, uh, I worked at Rubio's for a little bit, and then Starbucks, and then Costco, and then I was at Costco for 17 years. So I did
Okay.
like little odd jobs, and then when I got hired at Costco, I was so happy. It was $10 an hour, when minimum wage was like, $6, $7 or something like that. So I was really happy with that $10 an hour, and they do pay really well. So I think that's why I stayed. It was supposed to be a job to get through college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So it took some college classes, just like math and chemistry and, stuff like that. But I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up, you know? So I just kept working, and I got good money, and I was like, I'll make a career out of this. I'll be a manager, So I looked into management with Costco, and then, the injury happened, and just like things kind of changed for me. I'm like, oh, well, what's going to happen if I can't work there? That's my whole life. I don't have an education. What can I do? And luckily my boyfriend, he's very, you've met Andrew, but he likes to research and read a lot, and he likes to listen to audiobooks. And that's when, he listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it just made so much sense to me. Like when I listened to it, I'm like, why doesn't everyone do this? Like, it just, why is everyone working? Like, why doesn't everyone invest? But I get like, the world has to, everyone has to have some type of
Right.
job, right? But
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of, I guess kind of the law of averages will dictate that most people will do what most people do, and then there's some people that are going to break off and do kind of what only a subset of people will do, and that pretty much ranges, and those, I think those averages kind of play out in pretty much every category of life, so to speak. But basically, with the type of experience that you had growing up, you had this philosophy that you were just gonna kind of work at Costco because the mentality was, if you want to be successful in life, you got to work hard, right? And get that paycheck, try to get as much as you can per hour, and then, like a lot of people, you find yourself in a position where you can't work. Like, what was the nature of your injury that kept you from working?
so, as you know, Costco, like, we're on our feet all the time. And I can't go into too much detail because there's other stuff going on. But
Okay.
basically, I have a form of plantar fasciitis. That's the easiest way to explain it because
Okay.
everyone knows what that is. But and so I can't be on my feet for long periods of time. So
Okay. Actually, not everybody knows what that is. I kind of know what it is because I listen to sports talk
the
radio.
bottom of your foot has tissue,
Mhm.
and that tissue got damaged. So
Okay.
it's very painful to be like on your feet. And anyone that, if anyone's had some like foot injury, it's just like, it doesn't matter if it's plantar fasciitis. It's like you can't walk, you can't, stand, and it's painful. So, sorry, what was your question about that?
So I was just wondering, like, what the nature of the injury was and how that affected your way of thinking, because
Oh
this
yeah.
happens to a lot of people, you know.
So my injury, it just, being at home, I was like, well, if this doesn't get better, because it was like 6 months at this point when I started getting like, I'm one of those people, I eat when I get depressed or I'm bored or whatever. So I was just like eating, plus I couldn't exercise. So I just got in this like real weird slump, if you want to call it that. And I felt lost. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was just like, if I can't go back to work, like, what's going to happen? Like, I can't find another job that pays that much, and like with no college degree. And I was like, well, I could go back to school, but how am I going to pay for school? And then how am I going to pay my bills? And all these other questions like started coming up. So that's when I guess that is like what played the part in it. And I just felt so lost. But the second I read, or listened to, I should say, Rich Dad Poor Dad, it just, everything clicked. And I was like, that is what I'm going to do. So
Good.
that, I saw financial freedom. I saw a way to be self-employed and treat people the way I want them to be, want people to be treated, or I want to be treated, because I felt like being in a big company, everyone has to be treated the same. It doesn't matter if you're the person that works the least and kind of like isn't the best employee, or you're the best employee. You're treated the same. It doesn't matter. And that wasn't what I wanted for my life. Corporate job is hard. It's the best way I can say it.
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, because I think most people work for big companies, and so this is for those people, because a lot of times you will be working, you will be put into a position to where you might get injured because you're doing the same repetitive motion over and over and over again, or because you have the type of job where something, God forbid, may fall on you, or you may fall off of something. And so a lot of times those people get into these situations, and it's the first time in their lives that they ever had the opportunity to just sit and think. And
Mhm.
like I know, because you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. For anybody who hasn't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I would strongly recommend that you stop what you're doing and order that book now,
Or,
because
I mean, it's free also on YouTube. You can listen to it,
that's
and
true. That's true.
I love it because you can pause it, take notes. I mean, some people like take notes in books, but
Yeah.
I like listening and being able to I would rewind it. Wait, how did he say that? And I would just listen to it again and again. I'm just like, wow,
Right.
it was a really, really good book. Yeah, so I agree with you.
So yeah, and
I
now
definitely
have
highly recommend that book as well.
Yeah,
right now have either one of
Right
you
along
guys.
with Think and Grow Rich.
yeah.
Okay. Now, see, that was actually the point I was going to make, is that when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he'll recommend these other books for you to read, and one of them is Think and Grow Rich, like Tommy just mentioned. And the one thing I remember somebody pointing out is that the book is not called Work Hard and Grow Rich.
Mhm.
It's Think and Grow Rich. And when you're laying on your back for an injury, this is the first time in your life you've probably taken the time to actually sit and think.
Mhm.
And the type of thinking that you're doing is critical thinking, like, okay, what went wrong here? Because I thought that I would be able to
Financial
do
thinking.
this. Yeah, financial thinking, exactly. Because you're starting to think, okay, I thought I would be able to do this means of making money for the next 20, 30 years, whatever it is, until they say we have to retire, right?
Right.
By the way, you're retired. And how old are you, Farrah?
Don't know if I'm retired.
Ah, okay. All right. We
Retired
won't.
would mean I could just do whatever I
Do
want
you have
and
a
not
do you have
have
a
Uh,
hey
anything
Farrah, do
else.
you have a job? Do you
What's
have a
that?
job? Do you have a job?
A W-2 job? No.
yeah.
Then you're
Okay.
retired.
We'll consider you retired for now.
I
See,
still
you're
I
retired.
still I still use the self-employed uh, title. I don't know
Well,
about, yeah.
You
we
can't
will
retire
make
from
a
that.
note. What's that, Tommy?
I said you can't retire from that.
From being self-employed,
Even if you lived at home with nothing, doing nothing, you're still self-employed.
which means retired, right?
Retired.
Right. Retired. When you're not working for somebody else, you're retired.
Oh, okay.
But here's the
Well,
thing. So,
and to answer your question, I'm 37.
okay, cool. So now here's the other thing. Now, have either one of you guys read Rich Dad Poor Dad Cash Flow Quadrant?
Yes.
Okay, Tommy, have you?
Yes, I've read that. I've read the taxes one. I've pretty much read all of the ones that he has,
Okay,
except
then you,
the one him and Donald Trump,
okay,
which is next on the list.
gotcha. Now, so you're way ahead of me on in the game then. So, Cash Flow Quadrant is another important book that everybody should read, along with the other books that Robert Kiyosaki recommends, which is called E Myth. So by Michael Gerber, very good book. But anyway, back to Farrah. So basically, you took Andy's class. You no, I'm sorry. We'll rewind a little bit. Uh, Tommy, can you mute that? Um, so you you you're at Costco, you get injured, you start reading the book and you start thinking about what you're going to do with your life. And then that led to why don't I get involved in real estate? So the next thing you know, you're delaying yourself from going to the meetings for 3 months because
I
you
was
thought it
nervous.
was. I understand.
Yeah.
I completely understand. I was the same way. I was just like you. I thought it was going to be what? Bunch of rich white guys, right?
Yep.
In suits.
Yeah.
You imagine these suits and people standing around drinking martinis,
Oh
maybe?
my gosh. If
Right.
people knew who the richest guy in the room was and what he wore to these meetings, no one would feel intimidated to go. Ever. Yeah.
You know, when I first started going, I used to actually, wear a nice dress shirt, nice, dress shoes and everything. And then I started realizing that it actually made me look like I was new. And it actually made me look poor too, didn't it?
Ah,
In that room.
interesting.
Because
Never thought
rich
about that.
people are relaxed when you don't have to go to work and you don't have to worry about impressing somebody, you can just relax. And so that's the
Mm.
atmosphere of that room, and that's why I like being in it. And I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way, which is why, like you said, it's such a diverse room when you walk in there. So fast forward to the weekend. We're at Father's Day weekend. We're taking the class. We're in the class the first day. You're sitting next to some crazy dude named Adam, and then some
Adam is precious.
across from a crazier guy named Alvin. And it's like and Andy's talking all these numbers. What was that first day like in the class? To describe that.
Oh man. I mean, I take pride in being one of those self-proclaimed like math geniuses. I love math. I've never had any issues getting an A in any math class I've ever taken.
Hmm.
In that day, using a calculator, like I was good for the easy stuff. Once you started getting medium and hard, I had to keep bugging Adam. Hey, what is he talking about? And poor Adam. I mean, he always. I swear, any class we go to or a seminar, he's always sitting next to the one person that doesn't know anything about the calculator and he has to help them. But I think that's his gift. Like he is very patient and he helps people through it.
Yeah,
And yeah, so he helped me a lot, but I still didn't understand 100% of it. I think it took me 3 separate calculator classes to finally feel fully comfortable using it. But yeah, that was the first day, and just driving home, I mean, just the simple thing of if I don't get Starbucks every day or 2, 3 times a week, like I have been, and I save that money instead, and like I put it into a self-directed IRA earning 15% or 10% or whatever, like how much money I'll have in retirement in 30 years, it just blew my mind. I was like, I'm never drinking Starbucks again. I have, but it's more like a rare thing where like once or twice a month, if not, a month will go by I haven't had Starbucks. So
hmm
yeah, I just make coffee at home now.
that's good. That's good. Now,
That's something simple. Yeah.
right now, so you're talking about. So you said that you were a good student in math, and then you get in there the first day and it's very confusing. I thought that I knew the calculator. At that point, I had known how to use a calculator for about 4 months, and I had even tried to sell some notes before showing up into the class.
Mhm.
And, I always felt pretty confident with my math skills. I'm not trying to say I could just, sit down and just run an algebra equation or anything like that. But, once I pick something up, I consider myself to be pretty good. Now, I remember at a certain point in the class, you were helping me out. Now you,
I think I think it's because something finally clicked for me, and then
uh-huh.
when something clicks for you when you don't know anything, you're able to help someone else. Hey, this is it. And you're like, oh, and it just, you know, and
Right.
I'm that type of person. I like helping anybody. I mean, we've talked on the phone several times. I've talked to other people in the class on the phone. They've had questions, or just random people call me, and I just like, you know, about mobile homes. Or I just went to my friend's house last night. We had dinner, and she wanted to know more about mobile homes. I like to share. I feel like what goes around comes around. I don't expect anything in return, because I know I mean, Andy helps me a lot. You know, I call him, he'll help me. And Jose is another guy that you can call, and he's always so helpful. So it's just everyone. This is what I love about our group. And I say our group, just the group of investors that we run into. Everyone's so helpful. So I want to pay it forward. And I've always been that type of person. So it just shows you, even on my very first day, I was like that already. So I feel right in this industry, this business. It makes me happy, you know. I mean, there's times that I'm frustrated, but
Hmm.
overall, I like helping people helping me, and then I return the favor. So, but yeah,
Cool.
so I've always
Now,
been like that. Was my point.
no, yeah. So basically, it just this fits your personality to a T, is what you're
Yes,
saying. Like,
yes,
and
everything.
I could tell you seem really really comfortable with in your skin as an investor and just talking the talk and all that stuff. And the funny thing is that I think I had asked you a couple months ago, like, what was, you know, how are things changing for you? Is it like, how are your family and friends talking to you now as opposed to how they used to talk to you when you first started talking about investing? What's the difference now?
Oh man. Well, when I first started, people were like, "Oh, that's interesting," you know, that you're doing that, or why don't you go to college, you know, get your degree. And I'm not opposed to going and getting my degree. I actually took an accounting class at the community college. And then I'm interested in like business management and stuff like that, because I feel like those are good skills to have in what we're doing. You know, it's, you know, I want to be organized. I don't want to have stuff all over the place. But I don't, I wasn't like full like, okay, I'll do school. It's just like I took accounting because I want to understand the basics, because obviously when you're doing stuff, you're going to need to file business taxes. That's number one. So I wanted to understand and do my own books per se. But that was the beginning. And now I have family members telling me that they want to invest with me. They see what I'm doing. They see I'm successful. I mean, I get the little girl in me. Of course, when I hear my dad say he's proud of me, and he has, and you know, and just hearing my dad say he's proud of me, I don't think he's ever said that when I worked at Costco. Maybe he did, but I
Right,
don't
right.
remember that. But he was like, "I'm really proud of you," you know. So, um, it just it's a different, yeah. So that's pretty much what changed. I mean, people see what I'm doing, and they want to, you know, help me like be successful. But at the same time, they're like, well, if, you know, they could make some money on their savings or what they have sitting in the bank, then they want to, you know, make money too. So
Hmm. Well, I think the most important thing is that they trust you to give you their money now, because that's one of the things that's mentioned in, you know, Robert Kiyosaki says all the time. Like, if you are good with money, then people will just give you money
right.
because they want you to do what you did with yours with theirs. So it only makes sense. Now, you know, I do want to say before I get on to the next question that, as a side note, when your dad says that he's proud of you as a father, I can honestly tell you that part of it is because he may have said it to you before, because, you know, hey, you're grown up now, you got a job, you're on your own, being responsible, paying your rent. Yes, of course, a father is going to be proud of you. But the difference is that he sees that you're happy now and
Mm-hmm.
that you're doing what you love. And so in that sense, that makes a parent feel really good, like really, really extra proud, because you're doing something that you love doing and you're not committing yourself to slavery like the rest of us are doing, is what he's really saying to you. And I think a lot of people deep down inside know that they've submitted to slavery, and it's not like it's bad, that not like slave bad, but let's be honest, when you're working for somebody else and you're sitting there every day and you're thinking to yourself, man, I would really like the freedom of being an adult and deciding when I can come and go, deciding when I can have my hours, or how I get paid, or how much I get paid. That's all dictated by somebody else. And the thing is that a lot of us grow up thinking that this is the way life is supposed to be, when I couldn't help but thinking, when I had my job, I was always thinking, I'm sure at one point before people had jobs that life wasn't like this, so but
Right.
when we get to that point, it's like, okay, let's kind of figure out where we can go to kind of work our way out of here. And so finding real estate, out of all the things I've tried in my life, that was the key that turned the doorknob. So it was life changing for me. So,
Yeah.
and we're still working our way up, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're newbies. I mean, I have like a group of girls that are about my age, and some young. I think they're all younger than me actually, but we're 30s, and they we're all just starting out, and it's real nice to have that like group, a small group, and I always hear about these mastermind groups, and I'm like, how do you get to be in one of those? And I talked to someone. I went on the Captains of the Deal cruise. It was its final cruise, but there's a new one coming up. I don't know if you heard about it, but there's a new group. It's going to be the same people, but just not the same people leading it. But I had asked one of those guys, hey, how do you get involved in this mastermind group? It just seems so elite, like, like the certain groups of people that are like, they're just experienced. And they said, hey, when we started out, we just bounce ideas off each other. We meet like once a month. We talk about our problems or struggles, and then you start building. And then fast forward 10, 15 years, you have this mastermind group,
Hmm.
So this group of us, there's only 4 of us right now. We probably will keep it like real small for right now because we're doing Zoom calls, or not Zoom, we're doing Google Hangouts because we have to pay for Zoom. So we're doing Google Hangouts. But so we just get together once a month and just go over like issues we're having, or update each other. And so that is huge, just starting out new, just finding a few people that you get along with, you're similar. And like what you're doing, I think is really valuable, just starting out something with everyone's new and reaching out to those people, because it's hard to get started. It's really hard.
It is. And and I think a lot of times people feel like when they get started that they have to immediately find a niche to fall into. And for me, it was just a lot easier to just kind of keep it open and loose. How did you feel about that getting started? Like you said, you went to a meeting and then went to the class, and then you started buying mobile homes. Did you ever look in any other direction?
I'm one of those people in general. I like to master something before I move on to something else.
Hmm.
Because I get distracted really easily. I see something shiny and I'll, go over there and do this. I know that about myself. So I try to focus on one thing, master it, and go to something else after that. So maybe I'll still continue to do mobile homes with notes. But once I feel really comfortable, I have a good system in place, I have a good team in place, then maybe I'll look into, doing something else. But right now, I'm just focusing on that only. I like it. I enjoy it. It's something about working in a mobile home park. It's free entertainment, so that's always good.
Okay.
There's always something happening. So my life is not boring by any means.
Okay.
But in general, I like it. But I mean, that's how it was at Costco too. I didn't work in one position the whole entire time. I was a cashier. I drove the forklift. Yes, girls can drive forklifts. Yeah, I worked, I stocked the shelves. I worked in the bakery. I worked in the food court, but I didn't, do that job for 1 or 2 months. I would do each one for a couple years, then go do something else. Like, oh, there's a tire center posting. So, I was out there in the tire shop, installing tires. And now I know how to change a tire very easily. So it's a good life skill to have. But yeah, so that's how I was there. And once I get bored is when I could tell my mind was, not as stimulated anymore. So I wanted something different. And that's right now I'm still learning something every day. I haven't run into the same scenario twice. So it's all interesting still and so much to learn. I don't think I'll ever be done learning with mobile homes per se, but I might be more comfortable. And then I'll add something else. But yeah, right now that's all I'm focusing on.
So let's get into some of the mobile home deals because we've been, talking about, kind of milling around the outskirts of the subject itself.
Mhm.
So let's talk some deals, let's talk some numbers so that people understand what it is we mean by mobile homes and mobile home deals. Because Andy, when Andy was talking, he, how Andy is, he can go in kind of all kinds of directions, and he will go from 101 level to 600 level and
Yeah.
on a dime, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important that people understand, like, why mobile homes and why he's suggesting mobile homes, because he'll tell us in a heartbeat, quit getting out there, quit trying to wholesale, quit trying to flip, um, do these mobile homes. Can you explain why?
Why mobile homes or about one of my deals?
Like,
Which one?
why? Yeah, why in reference to one of your deals? Tell us how the whole thing works and how you came up on your first deal and your second and so on and so forth.
Maybe I'll just go over a couple because I don't want to take up all time just talking about deals. So I'll talk about my first one that I did with some of the mistakes I made because I feel like I didn't make that on my last one, and then I'll talk about that one. And both of them have been sold, so then I can go start to finish on each of them.
Okay.
So my first deal, I hit the ground running out of Andy's class. He had mentioned to our class that he hadn't put up bandit signs in months or maybe a year possibly. So he had told the class, hey, if anyone wants the bandit signs and stuff, they're sitting here. So I was like, I don't want to wait to order them and then wait, 1 or 2 weeks for them to come in. So I'm going to just buy them from him. So I did. I met up with him. I bought him lunch like the following week, picked up the signs at the same time. And I kind of like went over all the questions. Man, if I should look at those notes to see what questions I asked him because it'd probably be really funny now. But so
Well, I
yeah, those
remember him saying that he hadn't checked the message on the phone in like over 6 months or something
right.
like that, right?
I didn't have any leads, but I did have a couple people calling asking for prayers. So somehow he ended up on a prayer list line or like a network or something. But I'm also
And
people, so
Andy does need prayer, so that's pretty appropriate.
oh man, I didn't say that, Andy. That was Alvin.
I love you,
Um,
Andy.
so anyway, so my boyfriend and I, we went out that week on Friday and put up signs. So it was like 1 week from when we took the class. The following weekend we put up those signs. And I remember my first appointment and went down there, and the guy needed to move the mobile home, but he didn't say that on the phone. It's all a learning process, but it was just like the first appointment. I remember being so nervous, going and talking to the potential seller. And then same, like I just kept going to these appointments until I found something that I was like, I think this is a good deal. And the guy, mistake one that I made, I did not have him tell me how much he wanted for the home. So I always tell people, get them to say a number. And I mean, the best way to do it, if they don't want to tell you a number and they want you to tell them first, kind of joke about it and be like, well, it's up to me. I'll buy it for what, $100, you know, kind of like joking with them. And then of course it'd be like, oh, you know, be like, they might be mad about that, but at the same time, it's you're joking. They might see that and they're like, well, no, I need at least, you know, $10,000, and you know, and so at least you get a number out of them, and then you can go from there. But I didn't do that. So I ended up presenting him with two offers. My first offer was an all cash offer, $5,000. And then my other cash offer, oh, let me back up just a little bit. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1968, 1,400 square feet, really bad shape. Though he converted the living room and the dining room into 3 extra rooms. So the whole place was a hallway. The only common area was the kitchen and then the 5 bedrooms. And then he was renting out the rooms, from what I understand, to people that were on drugs. And it was bad. I mean, roaches.
And where was
everything.
this?
In Riverside.
Okay.
So, anyway, so I was just like, oh man. But I was like, okay, well, I asked Andy, like, what's the most you've ever spent, like, on a mobile home? So he said $10,000, you know, fixing it up. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to double that number because I'm brand new. So then I did the whole formula where I found out what the apartments were renting for. So 2-bedroom, 2-bath in that area. We're renting for somewhere between $1,800 and $1,900. And then I subtracted the lot rent, which was $1,200 over there. So that would leave me with a number of $600. And then Andy does a bonus number of $100. I did not do that on this one. So I was left,
Can you back up just a little bit and explain how that whole thing works? Like, where are those numbers coming from and why did you choose those numbers? Because you mentioned something about the apartments in the area, 2-bedroom,
right.
2-bathroom.
So I mean, Andy has this formula to how much you can sell the home for. So you kind of work backwards. So you have like 2 steps. So you look at the apartments in the area, you get the comps for those apartments, and I looked at 2-bedroom.
What are comps? What are comps?
Comparable, the same, like, price range. I don't. I'm like, what is comps short for? I don't even.
So
says comps.
it's well, I've always heard them say like it's short for comparables.
Oh, comparables.
So, yeah. So it's like so you're comparing equivalent size properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get the average.
These apartments were only like 800 or 900 square feet though. So my mobile home would be twice the size and 2 bedrooms. And you don't have, like Andy says, you know, you don't have anyone living on the side of you or above you. You don't hear them yelling at each other or, you know, people coming home late at night. I mean, you still hear your neighbors just like any house, but you don't have them wall to wall. So that number was the $1,800 to $1,900 range. And then what you do, because you want to find out how much the person could afford for the home payment. So you subtract the lot rent that they have to pay to live in the park, which at that particular space was $1,200, and which left me with $600. Now, Andy does the formula where you subtract an additional $100 as like a bonus number because he wants to be $100 less than rent. But the way I look at it is my place is bigger than an apartment, so I just made it the same. Okay. Plus, it was my first deal, and I would rather start high, and then if I had to negotiate, I can go lower. But so that's what I did because I had no idea. You don't know what you're doing until you do it. Right. So I came up with that $600 number. That $600 number would just be for the home, and then I put that into my calculator. And I came up with a price of like $50,000. And my boyfriend said, hey, well, why not just put it for 65 and see if anyone buys it? If not, then you could always lower it. I'm like, yeah, true. So after I advertised it for, I put on Facebook Marketplace. 3 weeks in, I had a buyer. She applied to the park. A couple weeks later, she got approved. She put her down payment, and but I'm kind of getting ahead a little bit because we were started talking about that.
Mhm.
But to back up with the purchase, so the purchase, I gave him two options. So it was $5,000 cash,
Okay.
or oh, and that's where I was going with that. So the $5,000 cash, how I came up with that number is my sales price was 50,000,
Mhm.
right? So I found out how much I could sell it for maximum, but then we ended up selling it for 65. But you take that 50,000 and you automatically divide that by 2. So that was $25,000. And then that number that I came up with in my mind of $20,000 to fix it up, because I can't, 2 times what Andy's done, the maximum. I think that's a fair number to start with.
Mhm.
So I subtracted that 20,000 from that 25,000. That's how I came up with that $5,000 cash offer. And then if he wanted more, I gave him another option of $2,000 down. And then I forget how much it was per month. And then that added up to $10,000.
Okay.
And he jumped on that $5,000 offer instantly, which right in that moment, I knew I offered too much. Which it's still a great deal. I mean, anytime I tell someone I bought my first mobile home for $5,000, everyone's like, "How'd you get it for so cheap?" But it's a learning experience in general. But I think Bill Tan says it, or a few people say it, but I know I heard it from Bill Tan. But if you're not embarrassed to make an offer, if you're not embarrassed to make that offer, then it's not low enough. Or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
No,
So,
that's exactly it.
I wasn't embarrassed to make that $5,000 offer. I had in my gut, I was like, I should offer $1,000, but for some reason I didn't.
Okay.
And just to let you know, like fast forward, but the neighbor ended up telling me that when I had originally went to his house, that he said if I even offered him $1,000, he would take it. So I could have bought it for $1,000. So
well,
I'm
what
like,
he's really
oh,
saying is he would have taken slightly less than 1,000. But see, here's the thing: it doesn't even matter, because all that matters is that you got it at the price point that worked for you, and you were
correct.
still able to make something out of it. So let's go back to what you made out of it, and then after you say that, after you do the big reveal, let's go back over the numbers again so people understand in black and white what really went on here. So go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So we actually spent more than $20,000 doing this rehab.
Okay.
We probably did way too much, like everybody does on their first one, because you want it to look a certain way. You don't realize how little people do. I mean, I've had other people show me pictures of mobile homes that they sold, and I'm like, you didn't even fix. I met a gentleman that he does mobile homes in Florida. He'd even put the toilet back on the hole. He sold it with the toilet it wasn't even attached to where it's supposed to go. And he sold it like that. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I was really surprised, like how people can sell a mobile home. So I did a brand new kitchen, cabinets, countertops, brand new vanities in the bathroom, brand new tub. I built a brand new closet because the master bedroom didn't even have a closet. I redid all the plumbing, all the electrical. I did the roof. And the roof didn't have any leaks. I just did it because I didn't want someone to ask, like, well, when was the roof done? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I did everything. So we went over budget, or the really big budget, by let's see. It wasn't that much, because all in, we were all in at 27,000 with the purchase, materials, and the labor.
Okay. So all in at 27.
Yeah.
Purchase material and labor. All right. And then what'd you end up selling it for?
So I sold it for 5,000 down, and then the balance would be $60,000. So I sold it for 65,000 with 5,000 down, and the payments are $600 a month for about 15 years.
Okay, at what interest rate?
9%.
At 9% interest. Okay.
So I think the total time is like 186 months,
Okay.
but yeah, 'cause I
For
want to make
15
it
and a half
even
years.
$100.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So let's the black and white numbers here are that you paid $5,000 to buy the trailer.
Hmm.
You spent another $22,000 fixing up the trailer.
Correct.
So when you sold the trailer
Oh, I'm
for
sorry, and that included the lot rent I was paying every month as well.
and the lot rent.
Yeah.
Okay. So you end up selling this trailer for 65,000, which is, if I do my math correctly, in which I probably won't, that's about a $38,000 profit. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you actually bought it for 5,000, but you say that you got a down payment of $5,000. So where Andy is concerned, you actually got the trailer for free.
Right, but that's
Essentially.
the 27 all in was after the down payment. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay. So but that's how Andy basically breaks it down for us in class, is that you are basically getting the trailer for free because you just got all of your cash back for the purchase when you sold it.
yeah. So
So
I just
now
realized I actually said my numbers wrong. So it's 32 all in. So the 27,
32 all in.
it
Okay.
was 27 labor, materials, lot rent. But I come up with the 27,000 because I recouped $5,000. So that's why I say 27 all in.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got
Yeah,
you. So 32, but you still all in. You still got your money back to get
yeah.
in the
So
deal.
you should do the 60,000 minus the 27, so it's 33,000 is
Okay.
the profit.
So not as much as 38, but it still doesn't suck though, right?
My favorite thing ever is it's good enough. That's my
Right.
favorite saying that Andy says. It's good enough.
Good
GE.
enough.
Yeah.
Now, this is good. This is pretty much good enough for anybody. Tommy, if you hear us, is 38,000, is $32,000 good for you, Tommy?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I would hope so. So now let's move on to the other part of this. Though, let me ask you this question. Why did you sell it and not just keep it and rent it out? Because most
Mhm.
people, when they think about getting in the business of real estate, whether you are working for the county or whether you are a doctor or a lawyer or somebody like that, most of those people that I know, they think they're going to get into real estate and they're going to buy something and rent it out. Why didn't you rent this out?
So this is the beauty of the three T's, as they call it:
Hmm.
tenants, toilets, and I always forget the third one.
Tenants, toilets, and um,
Told it I always forget the third
yeah,
one.
yeah.
There's the
Okay,
three
we'll get
T's,
to
guys.
that
They'll
one.
come to us
Yeah,
in a second.
right.
So it basically you're since you're selling the home and you're creating what's called a note. So for this particular one, I sold it for 65,000 with 5,000 down. So the buyer still owed me $60,000 payable at 600 a month for the next 15 years. So
Okay,
I created what's called a promissory note, which I got that document from our friend Andy,
okay.
and
Which is included in the class, right?
included in the class. Yes,
Okay.
not that we're promoting the class, but just saying
Uh,
like he gives so much value for. I made that $500 back in my first deal.
well,
So
why on earth would we ever want to promote somebody else's class that's going to teach them how to become rich like you and I are on the road to doing, right?
yes,
Why would
yeah.
we ever want to promote something like that? So, so good. That you basically you spent $500, but you got more than $500 worth of
Yes.
legal material and
Mhm.
in forms and all of that stuff, right?
Right, right.
Okay. All
So
right.
okay, so I have this note now. And the person bought the home. So now if something breaks, if her toilet clogs, you know, anything like that, whose responsibility is it when you're a homeowner? I mean, am I calling up, you know, my mortgage company when my toilet gets clogged, or if, you know, a light bulb burns out or anything? No, I have to hire someone or do it myself. So it's the
Right.
same thing. So this is her home. I'm just the bank at this point. I'm not opposed to, like, there were a couple issues in the beginning with the plumbing, which I think it's only fair to provide someone with a good home. So I figured if anything happens within the first year, I'll take care of it. I didn't tell her that, but that's what I ended up doing, is I took care of it. I mean, the plumbing, it only cost a couple $100 and she's happy. So, but anyway, like after that, she's going to be all on her own. It's her home. So now I'm holding this piece of paper, collecting this money every month. And what I ended up doing was I sold the first half of the note.
You sold the first half of the note.
First half of the note.
Okay.
So what ended up happening, so right now, before I sold the note, right, I'm in the hole $27,000, right?
Okay.
Essentially. Which, just to let you know, 17,000 of that, we use a 0% interest credit card, and we paid all of our materials and the labor on the card.
Okay.
So really only 10,000 out of my savings account for lot rents, the purchase of the home, and like other miscellaneous things. But everything else we use a 0% interest credit card. So,
okay. So
yeah.
this is because you have good credit, or does Andrew have good credit?
Well, we both have good credit. He just could get a higher like limit. I'll get like $5,000 or $6,000 limits, and
Okay.
he gets 20 plus.
So just for people that don't understand the logic in that, like, why would you use a credit card and risk you know, the payments, or you know, the like, if you're not able to pay the card off or anything like that? Because a lot of people have the philosophy that it's better to not use credit cards, pay cash, don't get into heavy debt, like, but we're always using debt as investors, and in this case you use debt to get yourself into an investment. So can you explain how that works?
Right. So I mean, I followed Dave Ramsey forever. I wanted to be debt free. No, don't owe on my mortgage or anything, credit cards, nothing. But I see it as a tool now. So with the 0% interest credit card, my payment was only like $200 a month. That was without interest. But when we add interest, maybe it'd be $300 a month. So hypothetically, if I didn't sell the front of the note to pay that off, and I just kept that balance on the credit card, and I would still net $300 a month after getting the payment from the homeowner. She gives me the $600 for her home payment, and then I in turn pay $300 my minimum payment on the credit card, and I am still cash flowing, you know, $300 without having to worry about the 3 T's, which I still haven't thought of that third T yet.
All right, we'll get to that third T soon enough, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so that to me, like, I knew it was going to cover it because I knew I was going to sell the home.
Okay.
So I knew at least it would cover the payment. And then eventually when I found someone to buy the note, then I could just pay it off and then keep the difference. So that's what we ended up doing. I sold the front end of the note.
Okay.
So the first half of the note for half the face value. Okay. So I sold, was it 90 payments for $30,000?
90 for 30,000. Okay.
So essentially, we paid off that credit card of 17,000. Okay. I paid myself back that other 10,000, and I still had $3,000 in the black, as Andy calls it. So positive. Okay. At the end of the day. So what's really cool about this is not only did I get all my money back, I paid off the credit card, I have $3,000 in my pocket. I also have the back end of the note. So after the investor gets that first 90 payments, I get payments 91 through 180,
Okay.
which if you do 90 times 600 is,
Well, I was actually about to do, let me see, let's 90. I was going to do the whole note and see what you were going to be positive on that, but we'll do this real quick. $54,000. So even after you paid off everything, put $3,000 in your pocket, you will sell the first 90
I
payments.
sold them already.
Okay, sold the first 90 payments, got the cash for that, which is a $3,000 in your pocket. And then after that 90 payments, how many years is that? That's
Seven,
about
7.5.
7 years, yeah, 7 years, 6 months. So in 7 years and 6 months, you're going to start getting that $600 payment again. Who knows what's going on in 7 years? I mean, I used to look at 7 years like it was so far away because I'm talking about back when I was 30. You know what I'm saying? I'm 49 now, and I remember used to thinking 7 years is a long way away. 7 years.
My favorite
Hey, let
saying,
me put it like this. I remember when my kids were 7 years old. Okay,
right?
they're
Yeah.
adult now. So
My favorite saying, it was when I was working at Costco, and this little old man told me the cutest thing, and like it stuck with me forever. I mean, I still remember like it was yesterday. But he said, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer to the end it gets, the faster it goes.
that's a true statement.
So
Very
that
true
7 years, yeah, it's
statement.
gonna fly by.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, my
I had
toilet
to say
paper
that because I
life.
like these cute little
Right.
things, so I had to say it. Mhm.
So in 7 years, you'll start getting your payments again, and by the time it's all said and done, in the 15 years, you will have collected $54,000, which is
Yes.
about the same as if you were working at Costco, basically.
Yeah, but that'd be over a 7 year period. But
Well,
yeah,
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 I'm sure they wouldn't take 7 years to pay you
right.
$54,000. But the point is that if you had 10 of these deals, then that's like working at Costco right there.
Correct. And I was actually going to bring that up. So if between, say, the next year, I do one every 2 months, which is kind of like what my average was last year. But I would like to do one a month this year, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
With COVID and everything. I mean, who knows? I mean, it hasn't really slowed down, but I mean, everyone's still figuring stuff out. But if I do one every 2 months, so that'd be six. And say I did all of them that way, but ideally I only want to do 10-year notes. So in 5 years, I start collecting the back ends. So say I did six of those over the next, 2 years, so I have 12. So then I'll be closer to 40. So in 5 years, at 45, I'll just start collecting on 12 of those. And then that's when I would agree with Tommy and say, yes, I'm retired. I just get that mailbox money, and I'm able to do whatever I want and just do it that way. But I mean, I don't really have a strategy. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm just going to keep doing one at a time and see what happens. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that would be assuming that you were going to go ahead and cash out every note that you create. But if you just go on ahead and do a deal and just keep the note and not cash it out, then you've got the full cash payment coming to you, and
Right.
you're
Well,
still in
I mean,
retirement mode.
ideally, that's what my next deal is actually one that I have a business partner on that one. But if I did it all on my own, I probably would have just kept this note and I wouldn't have sold it, which we haven't sold the note yet. But that's our plan is to sell it as a partnership. That was what we both wanted. We wanted cash instead of the payments every month. But this is a perfect example of a good and I guess a good mobile home flip where you just would keep the note.
Okay. All right.
If you want to go over anything else on the last one before I start the next? Yeah.
No, actually, well, yeah, let's just, just to wrap that whole thing up. just so people understand that's how easy this is. Farrah walked into. Okay, wait. Let me back up. Okay, how did you go ahead? How did you find this one again? Because
I just put up bandit signs for about a month. I haven't put any bandit signs up after that. When I ordered my new ones, I still haven't put my new ones up. I used all of Andy's, and then I reordered some new ones and the same style and everything, but I hadn't put any up. So I I'm going to. I've been so busy, so I haven't done it yet.
right,
But anyway, so maybe someone out there, if they want signs, no, I'm just kidding. But
I want some.
right. No, we are going to be putting some out. Oh man, it's just been so hot and
I know,
but
I know.
so when I found this buyer, which just let you know, it was 3 weeks after I took Andy's class that I met this buyer and he accepted my offer of the $5,000. It did take me an additional 4 weeks to get the keys, which is another lesson I learned. I didn't make the mistake, but from several people, there's a saying, cash for keys. So you don't get the keys until, or you don't give the cash until you get the keys, or the other way around. If they're buying from you, you get the check and then you give the keys. So cash for keys, either way. So he kept saying, "Oh, do you have the check?" And I was like, "I gotta get the keys," So that was. It took an additional 4 weeks for him to get those other people out of the home, and then the day that I got the keys, I changed the locks as well.
Cool. Okay.
So, but yeah, that's how I got that one.
Now,
No,
how many? Well, let me ask you this: how many appointments did you go on before you actually bought that one?
less than 10.
Less than
I don't.
10?
I don't even remember. I'd have to look at my notes, but yeah, less than 10.
Okay. Over what period of time?
3 weeks
3 weeks. Okay.
from taking
So
Andy's class to buying my first one.
from taking the class to buying the first one, going on 10 appointments, 3 weeks, you finally got your first one, $5,000 in. You
Yep.
turn a $5,000 investment, well, let's say a $32,000 investment into a $65,000 uh, value, right?
Yep.
So basically, what you ended up doing was, and I'll use this word a lot, you created money that was previously not in existence, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what I want people to understand is that when I say that money is not real, it is not real. Okay, let me repeat that. Farrah just proved it to you. It is not real. Okay,
Yeah.
they make you think it's real, but it's not real. Okay, when you can just create money like that out of thin air, tell me who else, tell me what real thing can be created out of thin air. Nothing, right? Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
now that we're past that.
Oh, we can talk about that all day because there's.
So
I don't think people really listen during government and economics in high school. So, which
yeah,
I'm guilty of too. But yeah, many. Yeah, you're right. It's
it's
created out of thin air.
right.
Mhm.
So
It's a
and
figment of your imagination.
pretty much. And
Yeah.
so like when that became a reality for you with this deal, like what happened once you came out of the matrix? What was that life-changing experience for you, Farrah? Because I remember talking to you about that and it was I could hear the difference in your voice.
You're talking about like once I sold it, like the just seeing the
Yeah.
possibilities, or after Andy's class part.
Well, like once you sold it, the check is in your hand, you
Oh,
realize that you just made an extra with
right,
$35,000, and then you go and you cash out half the payments, and you know that you're still getting $54,000 on the back end, aside from the 30 that you just put in your pocket.
right.
So
I remember feeling like, I mean, it was only 3 months from when I got the property to when I sold it. So like from when I received the keys to giving the keys, it was 3 months, but it felt like forever. And I just like, did I make a mistake? Like, am I, when you feel like a pyramid scheme, like this is too good to be true or something like that. I'm just like, man, and I got my boyfriend involved in it. I'm like, if I fail, like, I mean, how can I ask him for forgiveness? You know, that's how I felt. So when I sold it, it was just like, this is real. Like this actually happened. And it was the best day besides, sorry, my cat wants to say hi.
What's up, cat?
I told you.
Which cat is that? What's that cat's name?
His name's Vader.
Okay.
It was his given name at the shelter, so I left it.
Okay.
He's 8. He's an older guy.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so just knowing like I was actually able to accomplish it and know that it was actually he's still bugging me. Oh my goodness, sorry. But that was like when I was like, man, this works, you know, I can do this. And I just was so motivated. I couldn't wait for my next one. I mean, anyone I met, I was just like, oh, I did my first deal. This is what's going on. Like, I was just so happy. And that's when I met my business partners. I didn't know at the time they were going to be my business partners, but I met with him and his wife, and you know, we discussed like what we want to do. They wanted to learn about mobile homes. They didn't really want to like deal with like all the stuff. They wanted someone like, you know, what do they call it, like on the ground or boots on the ground.
Right.
So they were involved and they helped me out a lot through a lot of things. They taught me so much. So I think working with partners is very beneficial, especially when you're new and you don't have a lot of capital. Partnering is huge. And this was my second deal that I actually had a partner, you know? So people say like, you know, how to use other people's money. It happens. I was just talking, like having a conversation about my first deal, and then they wanted to partner up. So it was
So they
really
overheard
cool.
your conversation?
No, I just talked one-on-one. It was we went to Gary Johnston's Financial Freedom Principles seminar, and that's where I met one of the partners. I hadn't met his wife there. I met her later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that the Gary Johnson and Pete Fortunato?
No, I don't think Gary and Pete usually do a class together. I think you're thinking of
John Schaub.
John Schaub. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
was Gary and Clyde.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know if you were there.
I was not there. No, I wasn't
But
at that one.
that one is a great seminar for anyone who is just interested in understanding about investing and understanding how money works, how taxes work, understanding the calculator. Gary is really, really good at explaining. And it's a 3-day seminar. I know he has one come up in California, Labor Day weekend again, as long as it doesn't get canceled. But which I'm planning on going to that. I'm really excited to go again, see what I learned the second time around.
Now, are those complicated? Can a person that walks in off the street that doesn't know much about real estate?
I think that honestly is the best one to just walk in on the street, because he's very easy to understand, and it's financial freedom principles, so it's, you know, understanding the basics type of thing. So he really goes through it really well. But yeah, I think anyone could go to anything, honestly. It's just like, if you don't understand something, just understanding like, okay, we can come back to that, you know, put it on the shelf. I'll understand that at another point of my life, you know, like last year when I went for Labor Day weekend, same weekend, I'm pretty sure there's things I didn't understand that I'll hear again this time that I will understand, or I'll hear something last time and I'll take it a totally different way this time because of all the stuff I've been through the last year. Okay. So I think it's any level. There's people that say they've been like 3-4 times, you know. The joke is like they're that dumb that they have to keep going back, but it's not really that they're dumb. It's just you get something different every single time.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was kind of amazed to see. Like once I went to the first one, then I would go to the next one and I would see the same people that were at the previous one at the next one and then at the next one. But then I also noticed that when you're at those seminars, it's kind of like a weeding out of I don't want to use derogatory terms to describe different types of investors, but basically in those rooms you're there with people that are actually in the game like full time. So
Right.
a lot of them, you'll be in a room full of millionaires. Now you'll never know who's a millionaire because everybody pretty much dresses the same, right?
Right.
Right.
Not
So
in a suit.
no, no,
Any of
no
the guys
suit,
in a
no
suit.
suit allowed. So that's the thing. It's like, the only millionaire you can identify is the person at the top of the room that's teaching the class.
Right.
And
That's the only person in the suit. Yeah.
right. And
Unless
then
it's Pete.
of course, yeah, which who's attends pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And then they always make a point of pointing out who the experts are in the room at every one of these, which is, so that when there's a break, you can go to these guys, uh, talk to them, get their phone numbers and all that stuff. It's amazing. Like, like when you got into this business, like, did you ever imagine that, or before getting into this business, did you ever imagine that a millionaire would have any reason to talk to you?
I mean, you just think that you have this preconceived idea of rich people. And I feel like these people are they're wealthy, but they're humble, kind. I mean, you call them, they're going to answer their phone. It's amazing. It's an amazing group. We luckily stumbled in the right group because I know a lot of people pay for um, those like $20,000 classes, which I think if you pay for them and you use the information, then it's not a waste. But if some people pay for it and then they never use it, and then that's when it's a waste. But I mean, we got into the right group. They don't overcharge for any of their seminars. They're all reasonably priced, and you just meet really great people and you build these relationships with everyone. And like I said, I met my business partners. So I wouldn't have been able to do the 2 deals I did with them on my own if it weren't for them. So that alone paid for the seminar, So
Exactly. So, and that's another thing that I want to bring up to people is that the fact that you mentioned that you met business partners there, so you were able to form a JV partnership, which is a joint venture partnership. You put the sweat in, they put the money in. This happens
they put
all the time in real
these
estate, right?
partners, they put some sweat in too. They were
Okay.
really, yeah, they were involved. They very, very helpful throughout the whole process. So
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I got really lucky, but at the same time, there just depends on the type of partnership you have. And so they wanted to be more involved because they wanted to learn the process. They don't want to just like, oh, here's the money. But I mean, there's people like that out there.
Right.
But yeah, they wanted to be more involved. So
Okay. Yeah, and I normally I like the people who want to be involved, not just, throw some money at you and then sit back like they're John Rockefeller and I'm out there sweating like a pig, man. So
yeah,
I don't, because this business, there is no such thing as a passive investment either. So a lot of times people think that they could just throw their money in and not just sit back and not worry about anything, but that's not the case, right?
right, right.
So let's move on to your next deal
Okay.
and talk about that a little bit.
So this deal was actually the second one I did with my business partners. But I just like the numbers way better. So that's why I want to go over this one.
Okay.
And this is obviously like my third one that I did total, and then my second with my business partner. So it just shows like, the mistakes you made in the previous deals, you just keep dialing it in, eliminating those mistakes. So then you get this nice return on your investment.
Hmm.
So this home we actually bought from a park, and it was just like a repo type. They didn't pay their rent, so they got kicked out. So the home was pretty thrashed. The kitchen sink was ripped out. The trash everywhere. It just needed like a nice facelift.
Now, how did you find this one?
Um, just by contacting, you go to different parks and asking them about like if they have any like fixer uppers for sale and stuff like that. So
Okay. So like when you go to these parks, like what do you say to them? Like And why would they even want to tell you? Because wouldn't most parks want to just fix it up themselves and like not
So
have
yeah,
investors come around?
this park, they have a management company that like handles, I think, 4 or 5 different parks throughout Southern California. So I actually talked to the corporate office, and I had seen a couple like what's going on with those ones. So I just asked, I was like, well, I mean, the worst they're gonna say is, oh, they're doing it themselves, and then that's that. But I was like, hey, what are you gonna do with these? Like, oh, we don't know. And I was like, well, if you want to sell them, like I'm interested in buying, and they're like, well, just let me know what your offer is. And I was just like, surprised. So that's another thing. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because I mean,
Okay.
they say no, it's no, right? But you don't know if it's a yes unless you ask.
Right. Now, now let me back up for a second. Well, how did you find them in the first place? Were they in that you said they were in the same park?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you're just driving around dealing with the
Right.
other
And I
mobile
was like,
home.
what's going on with that one? And so I was on the phone with the corporate office about something. I think it's something about my storage agreement that I had, which not jargon, but storage agreement. Instead of
Hmm.
a rental lease, like a tenant would pay in the park, right? So a
Okay.
tenant that's living there has a rental agreement or a lease to have their home parked on their land. And
Okay.
then a storage agreement is for someone like me where I'm not living there, but I'm just storing my unit there
Okay.
temporarily.
Gotcha.
So I called him about a storage agreement, and then I just happened to be like, hey, what are you doing with these homes? And that's how we started that conversation. And so we actually bought that one from the park for really cheap. I
Hmm.
rather not say how cheap, but really cheap.
Okay.
And I'll tell you
Okay.
the total numbers, but I don't want to say, but and
Okay.
then so we bought it for like really cheap, and like I was just same thing, like I'm just gonna go really low and just see what they say, and they accepted. We also got 3 months of space rent for free.
Okay.
So that was really, really nice. And then our total like rehab, purchase, the lot rent, everything, we're all in currently for 37,000.
Now, why would they give you 3 months free rent? And just so everybody understands, I'm not sure because I didn't know how mobile home parks work. So basically, you explained it a little bit
Right,
a minute ago, which is basically what that you buy a mobile home, but the mobile home is sitting in a park. Somebody else owns that park, so to sit there in that space, you pay what's called a space rent or a space fee. And so different mobile home parks have different size space fees, right?
right,
Okay. And then so when you're paying the space fee, you're also adding on top of that the price, the what you're paying every month to a bank or mortgage company or whatever, whoever you're borrowing money from to pay for the mobile home itself. So
hmm,
your rental, your purchase payment plus your rent payment is your total payment, which should be lower than an apartment. Is that
right,
correct?
right,
Okay, the equivalent size apartment. Right.
right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now you're in an area where the space fee is what? It's
It ranges by the space where it's located in the park and everything. So, and then if someone's been there a really long time and we're buying from an owner, it's going to be different than buying from the park. So the park does like I guess they do an average of like the three highest. So it's, I mean, it's kind of high, but
okay.
and then for the people that have been living there a long time, you kind of take over like where they were at, and then they increase it when you change ownership. But to answer your question, why the free rent? So the home's sitting there anyway, not collecting any rent, right?
Okay.
So part of what I've learned from different people, I mean, Andy's told me, Jose, I can't think of who else, but they say, hey, ask for some free rent, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. But again, if you ask, they say no. But imagine if you don't ask and they would have said yes. So I just asked for 6 months, and they pretty much said no, but we'll do 1 month. And if you're making progress, then we'll extend it. But we don't want it just sitting there free rent and no work's being done. So I was like, okay. So after 1 month, I asked to extend it. Then they gave me 2 additional months.
Okay.
So we got 3 full months free lot rent on this one. So total, like I said, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It's probably like around 1,700 square feet.
Is that typical?
And
Is that typical size for a mobile home? That seems kind of big.
A double wide is usually around 1,400. It really depends on the individual trailer, right? Because each section, I mean, like my first one, each section was a 12 by 60. So you have a 24 by 60 with the double wide. And then this one, it was the same. It was a 24 by 60, but it had an add-on on the side. I think at one point it was like an outdoor patio, and then they converted it to 2 bedrooms.
Okay, gotcha. So, okay, so go ahead with that deal you were saying. It's a 4-2, 6550 square feet. You're all in on this deal. You don't want to tell me how much you paid for the deal, but you're saying you're all in.
It was a really good deal that we didn't pass up.
Okay.
But yeah, we're all in at 37,000, and we put it up for 92,000 with
okay. Now I have to ask you this question. Okay. So we're talking about the same park as the other one, right? Okay. So how is it that within the same park you could sell one for 65 and then the other one for 92?
So the one for 65 was a 2-bedroom.
Okay.
And this one was a 4-bedroom. Okay. So I mean, just like any house as it gets bigger, and I mean, for most people that have like a little bit of real estate understanding, it's called a value add, right? You're adding value to the home by adding a bedroom. So as the bedroom, so if someone buys a home that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and you add a 3rd bedroom, automatically you can get more money when you sell it. So same with a mobile home, manufactured home, it's going to be more expensive per room. So this one's a 4-bedroom, so that's why we're able to do that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So hold on just a second. I gotta tell my kids to turn the air on. It's
you getting a little warm over there?
Very warm. So it looks like I'm gonna have to do it myself.
Sound like an old man right now.
Probably edit this part out. Or not, it's life.
Yeah, we keep it real up in here. So yeah, we'll probably edit this. Anyway, so back to what you were saying. So you're in this deal at 37,000. And the one thing I do want to continue to stress to people is you're doing this with a JV partner.
Correct.
Who's bringing in the cash, right? So if you don't have money and you know people that have good credit and these people have a good job, usually people with good credit have good jobs, right? Usually.
Sometimes.
Goes hand in hand. Yeah, sometimes you have a great job with real bad credit, but depending. But anyway, so what are some of the other ways that people can invest? Well, there are people out there who have retirement accounts, and they're called self-directed IRAs. You don't have to know what that is, and you don't have to know what that means, but the people who have them know what it is, and they know what it means, and what it means. What's that?
It's similar to a 401k, but yeah.
Okay. So briefly, why don't you go ahead and explain that, because you actually have one of those from Costco, and it's a way to invest in real estate and take advantage of the taxes, right?
So I don't have a self-directed IRA with Costco. What I had with Costco was a 401k, which I could only invest in stocks, mutual funds, not even individual stocks. I had to invest in a mutual fund that had multiple stocks in it.
And do you decide what you invest in, or does somebody else decide for you?
I have options on what I can select. I could put like 100% into the 2040 investment fund, or I could do 10% there and then 10% here, something like that. Mm-hmm. I actually had a lot in Costco stock. So, and Costco did really well recently. So it went up, but when I no longer am employed with Costco. I probably didn't mention that, but so I am able to keep my 401k the way it was and just continue doing its thing. Or I had an option to like I could pull it out and put it into another account. I could have cashed out and paid all the taxes on it. So what I ended up doing was I rolled it into a self-directed IRA. So instead of the retirement management company telling me how and what I can invest my money in, I opened up a world of options. So I can invest in stocks and mutual funds and bonds and everything, but it opens it up. I can invest in art, coins, horses, livestock,
Really?
real estate.
Okay.
I mean, you can do so much with the self-directed IRA. Not every company allows you to invest in those things, so you have to check with the individual, like whoever your I don't know what they call it, like your management
Custodian or something like that?
custodian. Yes,
Okay.
each you have to see what each company or the custodian what they allow you to do. But the one I ended up putting my money in, I'm using it for real estate anyway. So haven't done anything yet, but I will be doing stuff soon. I just figuring out the rules, because there's a lot of things you can and can't do to your own property if you're using your own IRA money. So
Right. Yeah, it kind of gets tricky, and you have to have somebody that knows how that works, and especially for real estate, because Andy tells the story about that family that tried to do that together, their IRAs, and the lawyer did it wrong, and then they didn't realize it until like 5 years later, right? And then they
mhm.
ended up having to get penalized retroactively, and it was a mess and all kinds of stuff. But
They want to
but
follow the laws, but
gotta
that's why
fo-
I'm still trying to figure that stuff out. I just need to read the book I have, and then maybe I will.
reading
Uh,
no.
yeah,
Well, there's always the audio, right?
yeah.
All right. So okay, so let's go back to your deal. So we were just talking about I was just mentioning the IRA thing because of the fact that there's going to be some people that don't have money, don't have credit, but they do know somebody who has money, and they do know somebody who has credit. Everybody knows at least one person in your family that has a good paying job, has a good retirement, and has good credit. Everybody has at least one, at least. And so
I might.
find that person. I know you gotta start thinking hard,
No, no.
right?
It's weird because on my side of the family, not really. Oh, maybe
Well,
maybe my
let
dad,
me
but
let me take that
yeah,
back
my
then,
dad.
because there are some families that are small, and I kind of take it for granted that I come from a pretty large family.
But yeah, Andrew's side is like, I mean, cousins and cousins and cousins, and
Okay.
yeah. So he
So
has a lot of aunts and uncles and everything too.
but nevertheless, not only just your family, but just people that you've met through life, like coworkers that you had at Costco,
True.
that you have close relationships, people who
But
trust you.
the way Costco does it, they won't let them invest in real estate.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, they can't
But
even
if I
do
ever find out
self-directed.
someone quit Costco, right,
Okay,
and they have, and now I can say, hey, what are you planning on doing with your 401k? You should look into this. And then, so it's
okay,
good to know. And then say I've already made those steps and I can say, this is what I'm doing. Like, you should look into it. And yeah, so, I mean, that's a good tool to have because I have the relationship with those people. And then actually, you just know you think of somebody that I know that just recently quit.
oh, okay, okay.
I'll be
So,
talking to him soon.
but the thing is that can't somebody who's working at Costco and has a 401k, can't they go ahead and open up their own IRA anyway
They could
if they
do
want
it
to?
on their own and stop contributing to their 401k, but I don't know a lot of people that have that much extra money to
Okay. And they
like put
don't
away
get the
on the side.
company to match it too. So that's the other attractive part,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So it's just, but the point that I'm making in all of this is that there's a lot of these things that exist for the middle class, these investment packages that I call them, that are just set up for middle class people to basically invest in products that are designed to make rich people richer. And that's why you can invest and you can be a middle class working class person and diligently invest. And when the stock market is down, you throw extra money into your retirement account. And when it's up, you do less and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, you're still not going to end up with much, as some of the people that Farrah and I know are mentors in the club, because they played a different game. And the game that they played was not the long game. They played the short game, which is don't do like everybody else is doing. Don't do what the so-called experts are telling you to do. Do what makes sense. Think for yourself. That's why it's called what? Think and Grow Rich. So please continue here. I'll get off on my little tangents all the time. So, but
Oh
you
god.
were saying
So
you got
yeah, so
37,000
we
in.
actually just sold this home. I got the call today that they were park approved, so we just have to do the final paperwork as far as like the HCD paperwork.
Hmm.
And then
Wait, who's
besides that,
HCD?
oh yeah, HCD, the
Is that
housing.
another partner of yours or what? Somebody you can tell us?
So it's like the DMV but for mobile homes. That's the best
Okay,
way to explain it.
why do you have to go through an HCD, a DMV type of place instead of, because when I do houses, I use a title company and an escrow company and all that to do the
I mean, you can,
transactional paperwork. Like, so
yeah, yeah.
why
You
wouldn't I do
can
it for
still
this?
use the escrow company, but I mean, you're going to spend a couple $1,000s for stuff you can do yourself. And it's just a simple few forms, or you don't even have to do a few forms. You can just have them sign a power of attorney to sign the paperwork for them for the mobile home only. It's not like a medical power of attorney or anything. But anyway, so the reason for the whole HCD is just a transfer ownership for the mobile home.
Okay.
So then I'm saying that this is the new owner. So now the registration fees and everything will go to that owner instead of me, because it's not my home anymore. So we just, that's all we have to do next is I'm just going to collect the remaining of the down payment, because we do collect an earnest money deposit. So that way, if they do, we know they're serious, because if we have it in there, if they get approved and they back out, then we keep it.
Okay.
Because we just spent, that time, because you can only put one legally anywhere in California. You can only have one application per home, per apartment, anything. Like, you can't have two applications going at the same time. So once you submit one to the park, that we have to wait if they're approved or not. So now that she's approved, she does technically, she could still say never mind, but I know she's like calling me every day, like, have they approved me yet? Have they approved me yet? So she's gonna take the home. So the down payment we collected for this home was $27,000.
Okay.
Which everyone's like, well, why? This is the question I get. Why would, for my family members, by the way, for my family members, why would someone that has $27,000 buy a mobile home from you and they can just buy a house?
Oh,
Right?
hold on a second. I must be one of your family members, because I recall asking you the same question,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I took the
you
class.
you did too, but I mean, I get that mostly from my family. They're like, everyone's confused, or, I mean, I've even had people on Facebook message me, about my ad. Oh, I thought
Uh-huh.
Tommy would say something.
Did you
But I've
I
had,
was I was definitely going to say
go ahead,
something,
go
say
ahead.
but
something?
I'll listen. I
No,
think
say something.
the mobile home is more suitable because you don't have to buy another house. You just can relocate.
Okay, you're
True.
saying that would be one reason for somebody to do it?
It depends on that person's livelihood. Like, if they want to go travel or whatever, they can take their whole house with them.
That's true, but there's some of those parks that they don't let you take it out. Is that right, Farrah?
It depends on the type of lease they sign. Is that a clause in the lease? Like, I'm not too familiar, so they'd have to check with the park, in
Okay.
general.
But
So,
but he's right. That is a good reason to get it, because once you get it, you could pretty much take it from anywhere from here to Tennessee. But I think what the reasons for the question is because it's for those of us who don't live in mobile homes and have never lived in a
They don't
mobile
understand.
home, it's hard to understand. And that's the one thing that we always have to remind ourselves as investors is that you can't think for other people, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. So go ahead. Please go
So
ahead and continue.
yeah, so she gave the down payment, or is going to, but we're collecting a $27,000 down payment. So my answer to people when they ask me that, like I said, the people on Facebook message me like, you're out of your mind. I could buy a house for that, you know? And I'm like, well, maybe you have good credit. So part of the like the great thing about what we do is that we're able to owner finance.
What is
So
that? What the heck is owner
owner
finance?
finance, it is like, it is the best thing since sliced bread. That's what I think. But it basically the owners will finance the loan, so you don't have to get bank approved or get a bank loan and do that paperwork that's like this thick.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to sign all that stuff for a personal loan. So the owners finance the loan, which the owners in this case are me and my business partner.
Okay.
Partners, there's two of them. But so yeah, we owner finance the rest, and then which is nice for someone that doesn't have like great credit, or they might, for this example, she doesn't have great credit, but her son that is an adult now and is living in the home, he has great credit and income. So she has the down payment, but she used like in the example we we're talking about earlier, she used his credit and income to get
Mhm.
the home she wanted, but she has the down payment. So they kind of just teamed up in that sense. And so they're both on the loan, they're both on the lease for the home, and we're owner financing the remaining balance of 65,000.
Okay. So when you say you owner finance, how can you finance anything if you're not a bank? Do you own a bank? Do you know somebody at a bank?
That's so funny. It's funny because you're asking this. You're really good at this because I forget that these are questions that I had at one point. Yeah, no, I'm not a bank. I'm an individual.
Mhm.
So, but what you do is just like with anything, right? So say we'll use a car for an example. Alvin, I want to buy your car, right? But I only
Mhm.
have $1,000, but you want $10,000 for it. But I'll pay you $500 a month till it's paid off. And you're like, oh, that's fair, because I'm just going to buy a new car anyway, and $500 a month will cover my car payment, right? So you're fine because you'll still get $10,000.
Right.
So, but are you just going to take my word, or are you going to write up a contract?
Well, yeah, I would want to make sure that you're going to guarantee that payment.
Yeah. So you
So,
write up. So that way, if I don't pay, you can take me to court and make me pay, right?
right, right. Either
Or take
that or
my
take
car
the
back.
car back. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So the same thing. So you're not a bank. You're just an individual that sold your car on terms, right? You guys came to an agreement and you made a contract, and that's called a promissory note. So that's what we do. We just create a promissory note saying this is our home. You want it for $92,000. The terms are we're taking a $27,000 down payment, and we'll finance or create that additional note, that $65,000, and then you'll pay us. It's payable. It's a 10-year note, so the payment is a little less than 825. It's like 823 and change. So that's the terms we came
What's
up with,
the
and that's
interest?
how she's buying the home.
Okay.
What did Tommy say?
What is the interest on
The interest is 9%. So one
that? That's
concern.
9% across the board, huh?
Yes, yeah, we usually just do 9%. It's within Dodd-Frank standards, so we're not, basically ripping people off, because that wouldn't be fair either. So one thing she did say when she was asking about it, she's like, ooh, she felt 9% was high because everyone's hearing about these home loans. People are getting 2%, interest on their mortgages and stuff. So to her 9% was high. And so all I said is, you're more than welcome to shop around for a loan, you know, and if you don't want ours, you can bring, you know, apply for the loan and just bring the cash, right? So, but I don't know if she ever did, but she's going with our loan.
Now, why would somebody go with your loan? Why wouldn't somebody just simply go down to a bank like they do for a house and get a mortgage and then give you that and then pay the mortgage to the bank?
Honestly, I think it's easier dealing with an individual than it is a bank. People like the face-to-face. They know the person. I mean, maybe she just felt more comfortable. I don't know her exact reasoning for not doing it, but I just told her, hey, you know, shop around, see if you can get something better, you know, because this is what we're offering. So if you want the home, these are our terms. And then she accepted. So.
Okay. And you were basically, you just left it open for her to go ahead and explore her options, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so one of those parts about the class that that Andy always goes over with us is that part about the age of the mobile home, because there's trouble with the financing or something like that.
I think people can get financing on them, but yes, the banks actually consider the year of the mobile home. So this one's in 1977. I don't think we would have gotten, say, as much if it was a bank loan, but homes in that park are selling for a 4-bedroom. They're selling for over $100,000 brand new. So, I mean, she got a discount for it being used, and then we really upgraded and remodeled the whole thing. So it looks really good. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And yeah, I would like to see the pictures on that one too, because I don't I was trying to, I think I tried to find it online, but I never did. And did you ever send me pictures of that? I think you might have given me some before pictures on that one.
Oh man, yeah, the
I
before
think,
pictures are
yeah.
pretty.
Yeah. So
But
okay, so
it's always interesting to see the before, because you're like, did it really look like that? Like, you know, it did, but because when you see the after,
I want
it's
to see
just
them both.
like, yeah.
yeah. So now let me ask you this question. So okay, so this is your second deal. You are about to get
Well, my
this
second
off
deal
the
with my
boat.
business partners, but technically is my third one.
Okay, second deal with your business partners, third deal going. You're 37 in the black on this one, and
In the
no,
red.
you're not 37 in the red. You're okay, 37 in the red, and then you are selling it for 92,000. You said
Correct. With the
okay,
27,000 down,
okay, with the 27,000 down.
which
So
makes us
that
10 in the red.
right. So I'm gonna subtract that from the 37,000, and we get a $55,000 profit. So did I do that right? Yes, I did. Now you got $27,000 down. So that means that you got a note that is what?
65,000
65,000?
at 10 years.
55 or 65?
65.
65. Okay. So that's a 10-year note.
His hearing is kind of off a little bit.
It's always off, ain't it, Tommy? It's
I have my
65.
calculator too, so.
Okay. 10-year note. And then and for people who don't know what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. And we're gonna have to
That's
have a financial calculator class at some point here, but we got a 10-year note, and so the payment comes out to $823 a month. Is that your payment?
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Did you round it off to 825?
I just say 825, make it easy. And when I was advertising, I said 825. So when it comes in under, then they're like,
Okay.
oh, it's $12 cheaper.
Right. I get an extra hamburger every month.
I like the whole
Okay.
under promise, over perform.
That's always the
Right?
way to go. Okay,
Not that a
so
couple bucks matters, but you know, it's
yeah,
something.
it's always nice when it's just going to be less than what you say, because naturally people don't trust investors as it is.
Right.
But I think when we use the approach that Andy has, that you're just trying to help people solve their problems, it makes it a lot easier, and I'm sure you build rapport really quick, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. So the end result to this is that you're actually going to end up making $98,000 off of your $65,000 note. Is that where your
Are you
profit
looking at
is?
amortization? Is that what you're
Oh,
doing?
did I?
So the way I
Yeah,
look
I
at
was. No,
it, mhm.
I multiplied your payment times 120, which
Oh,
is your number of months. So that's what I came out with, $98,000. So you're
that's
gonna
the note, but then we were 10 in the black or 10 in the red. So it's technically 88.
okay. So
Yeah.
88
And that's if we keep the note.
if you keep the note.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're thinking about selling the payments on that one?
Well, with my business partners, that's our plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now would you sell the whole note or just the half payments?
We want to sell the whole note.
Okay. Okay. So now we can talk about note selling at some other time and get into note discounting and all that and talk about how people make money doing that, which is like just basically sitting at home playing a video game and just punching a number in the calculator, and then all of a sudden, poof, you've just got made $5,000, right?
Right.
So we'll get into those discussions later because that's like going to the, I
The
guess,
next
more
step.
like 300 to 400 level real estate, right? So,
Right.
so
Yeah. I know when I start talking about notes and stuff, I'm just like, oh, it starts getting a little much.
yeah,
Um,
but it's a
so I
fascinating
what I
conversation to
wanted,
have.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's a fascinating conversation to have because
Yes.
it's something that you go into real estate not knowing about, and then you realize that it's the foundation of it.
Right.
So go, so go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
Well, what I wanted to go over on this one is if we kept the note, what would happen? Because the other one I did sell the first half, already showed that it was profitable, that I was able to get all my money back, right? Plus
Uh
a
huh.
few $1,000, and I still get the back end of the note. So it's just like a bonus cherry on
Okay.
top, right?
Right.
So this one I just want to use as an example of, ideally, if you're going to keep a note, you want to make sure either you get all your money back with the down payment or you make all your money back within 1 year. So if we're negative 10,000, if you take that 823, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you multiply that by 12,
Okay.
we get $9,880. So we will break even after 1 year.
Okay.
And
And
yeah.
so is that something that you're cool with now? Who told you that, by the way? Because we talk to the same people. I don't think I've been told that yet, just yet. Now
Well,
somebody's told me, but
that
not in
was
our group. So,
that was just someone that's their strategy when they buy a home.
uh-huh.
That whatever they put into it, they want to make sure that they get all their money back within 1 year. So
Okay.
1 year would be the max, and then if not, then it's not a deal, or they need to restructure it or something like that.
Do
And
you
that was
remember who
actually,
told you that?
I don't think you met, because you didn't go to Wetbox.
No, no, I
I
didn't go
met
to
him at
Webbox.
Wetbox, and I believe I told you about him, but if we're ever in the same room with him, I'll make sure you talk to him, because
Okay.
he blew my mind when he was telling me about stuff he was doing. It was just like, you hear about different people doing mobile homes in different areas, and you can just like, cherry pick what you like. And I really like that strategy, is like after 1 year, you get all your money back. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, it's all profit. So if you take that 823, and multiply it by, what is that? 100 108, right?
Mm-hmm. Just 88,000.
So that's technically our profit over that 9-year period.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
even though you're out that money for 1 year, you're going to get it back over that time period. So if I did this one on my own and I was okay being short $10,000, I know I'm getting it back in 1 year. This would be a note I would keep. That's why I wanted to go over this deal. Even though we are planning on selling it, this is a good note to keep for yourself. And then you just collect that payment, pay yourself back after 1 year. And then after that, you have cash flow of 823 and you don't have to worry about, tenants and toilets. So yeah.
And that third T that we still haven't figured
know,
out, right?
I should look it up, but for whatever reason, I just like tenants and toilets, but yeah,
Right.
I don't.
I think it was tenants, toilets, and trouble or something like that. You think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get there.
This is so bad.
Like trying
Everyone
to.
else watching this that knows are just yelling at us. How do you guys not
Right.
know?
You idiots.
Yeah. Now I have to look
Okay.
it up.
So all in all, so what is the effect that doing these deals has had, like, on the people around you, the your family members, things like that, like your general attitude, because now your living situation is even like life hacking type of a
Oh
situation. You want to explain that, because I don't even think we even covered
yeah.
that yet.
So I was a renter for a long time after I moved from Colorado. And then when my boyfriend and I were like, let's move in together, we even rented a house. We're paying $2,800 a month for a house in Rancho Cucamonga. And I mean, it's a beautiful
Where did you
neighborhood.
guys work? What Costco were you working at?
I mean, we were like in the middle of both of them, but yeah, so like I
Okay.
worked at one location, he worked at another location, but
Okay.
we wanted that.
Nowhere near Rancho, huh?
What's that?
Nowhere near Rancho, huh?
We were both about 15 minutes from each location.
Okay. All right. Because it
Yeah.
just kind of sounded like somebody just wanted to have that Rancho Cucamonga address.
Well, and we actually talked about it because we wanted his kids to go to the school district, the schools
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So that's why we did that. But
Gotcha.
after some court stuff and everything, they go to school near their mom's house. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. But anyway, that's like a whole nother. I don't want to get into that because then you'll see another side of Farrah.
No need. No
that,
need.
Farrah.
Yeah, that's a whole different show. Tommy, Tommy and I. Tommy, yeah.
Oh,
If we do that show, then you won't shut me and Tommy up for that one. So
yeah.
we've all got some drama to share. Anyway.
Okay, I looked up the 3 T's of real estate, and it has it's tenants, taxes, and toilets. That's
Tenants,
the other
toilets,
T.
and
But that's
taxes?
probably why I never thought of it because maybe I don't understand the taxes part. But that's
I didn't know what the taxes part
we'll have
was
to
either.
find out.
Oh,
See,
no.
we're still new. We're still
Okay,
new.
no, this is the taxes part. So when we're talking about selling the note, it's because, again, when you're selling the note, that means you've just sold the property to somebody, which means they own the property. So now they're responsible for fixing the toilet. They're responsible for being their own tenant. They're not your tenant anymore. All they're doing is just paying you free money every month without any obligation toward fixing anything. And the best part is that you don't have to pay the taxes. They're paying the taxes because it's their property. The other thing that I always remind people is that we do know people in our club that do rent these mobile homes. So some people do that, but because it's a mobile home, it will not appreciate and you will not be able to pull money out. And nobody in their right mind is going to give you any money on an option by selling equity in a mobile home. And if you don't understand what that means,
that's like real estate 1000.
Right. So I was going to say, yeah, we won't even get into that right now because it's not even an option to do that. So we'll talk about options on another one. So
yeah.
Anyway, so please continue.
I don't even remember where we were at.
We were me interrupting you about you living in Rancho.
Oh yes. Oh, we got off that. So yeah, I was renting for a while, and then when we came up on our next year to rent, I was just like, and we just started getting into like the real estate thing. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we can be doing something more with our money. And he agreed, you know, so it's nice to have someone that is on the same page as you, you know, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I find out, I hear a lot of couples, you know, like where the wife's not on board or the husband's not on board or, you know, whoever
It's
their
rough.
significant other is, they just, you know, they're not on the same page. So luckily we started looking at homes, immediately, like or not immediately, like February-ish, because I was like, hey, it's coming up, you know, like we need to do something. And that, oh, by the way, that was another reason why I didn't go to the real estate clubs or any meetings, because I wanted to have something before I went there. And I think I just want to let everyone know that that's a big misconception, because there's a lot of people that don't have anything. They've been going to these clubs for years and haven't done one deal. So if you're new and haven't done a deal, no one's going to frown on you and like think anything like that. They're going to, if anything, they're going to encourage you and, you know, lift you up. So I think that's another reason why I didn't go, because I was like, I want to have our house first, since they were renting, before I go to a meeting.
And look
So
respectable, like a real estate investor, right?
yeah. So we were looking for something like a duplex. We found one in Mentone. We really liked it. We liked the area. We liked that what it could rent for, and the price was right and everything. And then I think we put an offer, and then someone with like a cash offer of like 20,000 more than us came in. So of course they took that offer.
Mm-hmm.
But it took us, we didn't buy our house until the end of May, or we closed in the end of May.
Were you looking
So we
for a
just kept
fixer-upper
looking.
or anything, or just
Not a fixer-upper. We were just looking for something with a unit that we can rent out. So like a
okay?
granny house or a duplex or something with a back, like an ADU, which is a attached dwelling unit. But something like with a back house where we could either live in it and rent out the front house, or rent out the back and we live in the front house. We weren't sure what we wanted to do yet. So I saw this house it was like a 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom, and right near Cal State San Bernardino. And I really, really wanted to go see it. And when I finally talked to Andrew, my boyfriend, into going to see it, it said it was pending. So I was like, oh, because I was thinking just house hacking, you know, living in one room and renting out 5 to like students, and I could,
Mm-hmm.
you know, live rent free. So that was my plan. And he's like, no, you know. I was like, man, okay. So then we kept looking, weren't finding anything that met our criteria. Everything just seemed overpriced, or the rehabs on these, you can tell they were flips. Like, it's funny, once you start like, you know, flipping, or like knowing what flippers do, you know that what's a flip. Like, oh, they flipped this house. I can tell.
Yeah.
So I finally, like, I wasn't giving up quite yet, but I finally I got an alert from like Redfin or Zillow saying the house that you looked at is back on the market, which was the original 6-bedroom, 4-bath house near Cal State San Bernardino. So I was like, it's back on the market. We got to go look at it. So we went and looked, and to our surprise, 2 of the bedrooms and 1 of the bathrooms was actually a back house. So it actually worked out. We were very happy with it. So we put an offer on it for $5,000 over, because we wanted it. We're like, we want this house. And they accepted. So what we ended up doing, we actually made the kitchen bigger, and one of the bedrooms we converted, because neither bedroom had a closet in the little back house. So we converted one of the bedrooms into the bathroom and the closet. So now it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath back house. And then the front house is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And we rent out each individual room, which covers our mortgage and like probably 50% of our utilities.
Wow. Okay. 50% of your utilities.
Right. So that's pretty much all we pay right now is 50% utilities of our
Okay.
utilities. Yeah.
Which is
If that.
basically another way, which is, I mean, honestly, it's just another way of saying that you bought a property that you don't pay for, and you have an extra $300 to $400 every month, which you use toward your utilities, which basically means that not only do you not have to pay for your living expense, your major living expense, which is money in the bank every month, basically.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be honest about it. And then you're also saying that these people, not these people, I mean, these are, I'm sure they're nice people that you're
They
renting
are.
to,
Yeah.
they're paying for you to live.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what's
Yep.
happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're paying our mortgage.
Are they happy?
They said they'll stay here as long as I let them stay here.
And why would they want to do that?
Yeah. It
Why
just,
wouldn't they want to go out and get their own place and do the same thing you're doing?
you know, rent is so expensive. They're paying, um, you know, $600-700 for a room. You can't find that anywhere, and everyone pretty much gets along. I mean, it's a roommate situation. Some people, one guy works overnight, so his hours are a little bit different, but hardly anyone sees each other. So it feels, from what everyone tells me, is everyone feels like they live there by themselves, but then they see it, they have that comfort of knowing that someone else is there. So
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. That's really cool. I've never lived in one of those situations before, but I could imagine it's kind of gets to a point to where you do feel like you have a whole house to yourself a lot,
Mhm.
depending on what your routine is, and then you obviously have the camaraderie as well with your housemates. So I guess
Right,
but best of both worlds. And it's not quite a trailer if you don't want to live in a trailer, right?
right.
So there
Yeah.
you go. So okay, so you guys have you house hacked first. You don't have to pay your own mortgage. Somebody's taking care of that for you. Somebody's taking care of half your utilities, and so your boyfriend Andrew. I always call him your fiance because basically he's your fiance. But you guys are
Alvin,
okay. All
Alvin,
right,
put a ring
that'll
on it.
that'll be our next conversation that he'll overhear.
Always every show. We have
Wow,
this
she's one
ongoing.
of those. She
What do you
the,
think?
the finger said, "I don't have no ring."
Right, right. So
Yeah.
don't mislabel anything. Right. So what were you saying, Farrah?
Oh, we have this like joke because people, we met at work, so people at work always asked him, like, when are you going to propose? He's like, oh, I've been waiting for her to propose. So I
Oh,
said,
okay.
if you asked him, I bet you he'll say like, oh, she's supposed to be, he'll probably say something like
Right. Well,
that.
you
So
are the
it's
big
just
time
funny.
real estate investor. I mean, put a rock on his hand, girl. What you talking? What you waiting on? So
Like, no, I am traditional in that sense. I'm
right.
going to be the one proposing.
There
Yeah.
we go. So okay, so you've got we talked about two of your three deals. Do you have any other deals going on right now? Have you had a chance to take a break since you first started? I mean, because I remember when I first started this business and I couldn't find a deal to save my life. And here I am 3 years later, and I'm telling people all the time, it's like I got a list of houses that I can't even get to. And then every day somebody is calling me with a new deal. So
That's
how
that's
did
kind of
you?
how it happens. I think it's like a snowball. Starts out really, really small, and then pretty soon it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's so much. But I think part of it is someone in our original class. I guess he knows like what park I was in. That I had a couple homes, and his friend, you know, got a lead on one in that same park. So he called me and was just like picking my brain. I was like, just talking to him like a normal person, like how we talk, and we pick each other's brain. Um, and he's like, well, maybe, we'll partner on this, So it's just funny. Like, I'm like, oh, finally, I just want a 2-week vacation. So after we sell this one, I just want like a 2-week vacation where I just don't do anything, and then I'll hit it hard, like get all my bandit signs up and start at it again. But I just feel like that's never going to happen. And I mean, Andy says it all the time. He's been trying to take time off for the longest, and he just keeps getting deals too. So after a while, once you're in it, people know you. You just start getting calls randomly. It's kind of weird how that works. think that was possible, and here we are doing
Right.
that. Yeah.
And here it is. You're basically, you just celebrated your 1 year anniversary of taking Andy's class, and a year and 3 months in from starting your first real estate meeting, and you've already got 3 deals under your belt, and you are working on a fourth deal, right?
See, 2, 3. Well, it's possibly a fourth,
Okay,
possibly.
possibly.
Yeah.
We'll just call it a deal. Why don't we just do that for simplicity, right?
Yeah.
So, because you're gonna get a deal, you're not gonna take a break. You already know that, right? And at this point, you know that you've got people that are now beating down your door, trying to throw money at you to get into some of your deals, right?
I don't want to say they're beating down my door, but I do. I do have people that are interested, like, like Andrew's mom, and his aunt and cousin were like, "Hey, we want to do a deal with you now," because his mom did one, and so now, actually, I didn't tell you about my other deal. That was a referral from my first one, but so four. That's four, so possibly a fifth one.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a whole nother, like, that would be another however many minutes, so we won't go over that one.
Okay.
But my Andrew's mom actually lent me the money for that one, so she literally just gave me the money. So that, I say I partnered with her, but not really partnered, because I did everything, and I tried to update her, and she's like, "Yep, sure, whatever." She didn't care. So now his aunt and cousin also want in on one when I have another one, and my aunt on my mom's side too. So it's families coming over and be like, "Hey," so I'm trying to get them more to buy the notes. I'm like, "Oh, buy a note."
Right. Well, I don't think you really have to worry about the note part of it, because we know enough people to sell your notes. And like I said, I'll get on selling some of those notes for you, because I want to be the one that discounts the note, which will be in another one of our videos that we talk about later on, about how you discount notes to sell notes and make a profit. But the point that I want to really address is the fact that you got into these deals using other people's money. You use a little bit of your own money, but for the little bit that you did use, you were able to recover it with a down payment. So essentially, you were getting into all these deals for free, right?
Well, when I say it like
So,
that, it didn't feel like for free at the time, but yes,
right.
essentially.
Now, when you use somebody else's money to get in the deal, and then you do the deal, and then you end up splitting the profit 50-50. Now, for some people, that may seem like, well, hold on a second. How did she deserve to make money without spending money? Because you need to spend money to make money, right? Okay, that
Uh-huh.
is a myth. That's another one of those myths that's delivered to the middle class so that it'll seem like it's harder to make money, to become wealthy, to be free, basically.
Mhm.
So just don't believe all the hype, just start thinking. So that was one of the things that I wanted to point out, because now Farrah has people that are family members who see that she's making money. They want to make money, they have money. Farrah has money, but she has something that's more important than money. She has knowledge, she has game, she has grit, determination, all those entrepreneurial traits that a person needs to be able to get over. And so, for all you educated people out there, I want to make another point. Farrah, what college did you graduate from?
Gosh, rub it in. From the School of Hard
Financial Institute. Financial Institute.
Knocks.
Andy's Financial Institute,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So,
The School of Hard Knocks.
right.
The only degree I have is my high school diploma as of right now.
So it was Cal State Hard Knocks. That's the school that you went to?
I like it. Yep, that's it.
Okay, so One of the things that we always notice about people that get involved in the real estate is that the people that come in with an education, with a formal education, they always seem to know everything and they always seem to be the last ones to get started with
Don't
something.
discriminate. Not everybody.
Hey, well, I will raise my hand to say that I am one of those people. So it is very indicative of somebody with a degree
I think
to be
I think
slow
it's
to get
harder
started.
because you're taught to do things a certain way. There's a lot of analyzing, and I feel like, maybe if you're not as educated, you kind of just like don't think about it, you just do it.
Hmm. That's
Maybe. I
that's
mean,
exactly what it is. That's
yeah.
exactly what it is. I just tend to think that people that have an education, they usually have a little bit of narcissism that
Hmm.
says, I have a degree, I know how to do whatever, just fill it in. And so that's kind of like when I first started learning the financial calculator. Todd gets in the class and he says, okay, everybody download this calculator, it's $6. And the first thing I'm thinking is, first of all, I don't want to pay $6. I have plenty of money. And, and then second of all, I already know how to use a calculator. I have a degree. Okay.
Ah,
My degree did not mean the paper it was written on, but I don't want to discourage people from going to college. I just want people to understand that a degree does not mean anything until you actually get in the streets and start learning something that means something. And when you learn how to use this financial calculator right here, that will change your life, right, Farrah?
it does. Actually, the friend I was talking about that I when I had dinner with last night, and she just wanted to pick my brain. She was like really wanting to get started doing stuff, and her husband isn't working right now, so she's like, it's the perfect time for us to get started. And I just showed them a few things on the calculator, and she's like, wow. And then she texted me today saying that she's using it and she's loving it. And I was like, well, if you have any questions, just, give me a call, like how to put it in your calculator. But I told her, you just need 4 of the 5 numbers and then you can solve for the fifth. And I mean, she's kind of savvy like that. So she was able to catch on really fast. But she's already using it. And that was yesterday. Not even do a full class. I just showed her, how to use the formula to come up with, how much you're going to sell the home for. And then if you sell it on a note, how much the payments would be and stuff like that. That's, I mean, real simple. And she's already using it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's just the fascinating thing, I guess, for people when you first realize how it works, is that it makes you start realizing like all those things and throughout your life that you financed and how it actually worked and how much money somebody made off of your back. Like it's shameful almost, right? Now,
Yeah.
now the other thing that I want to make sure we mention before we go is that because you've done those deals, you were using a JV partner, you didn't put a lot of your own money in, if at all, but you made money out of thin air, you created money out of thin air, and not only that, you made money out of thin air without giving up any of your own.
Right.
And now you have people throwing more money at you, family members, because now they're trying to say, hey, we trust you because you've done something that we didn't even know was possible to do. And you just did it 3 times and you're on your way to doing it a fourth. So that's respect.
Yeah.
Like that's the ultimate respect. What's up, Tommy?
That, she's on the way to doing it for a fifth time, not a fourth.
A fifth time, not a fourth.
I wasn't going to correct you. I'm doing deals.
Tommy is
Like, that's all
Tommy
that
is
matters.
tired of me not listening to people. So, so,
Well, it's because
so
Like, bruh,
we
I
talked
need you to
about
get it together.
three. One,
right.
my first one, and two of my business partners. But then there's the other one that was a lead from my first one that I did with Andrew's mom. But
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, because you're doing so many deals, I can't keep up anymore. So that's
Oh, of
really the
course, just
point,
so
right?
many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
You
so
know what would
many
be
deals. You're
fun is
making
just
so much
looking
money.
back on this in another year,
Uh-huh.
right? And seeing where I'm at now, just or
Oh
not now,
yeah.
but in a year and looking back here and just be like, man, I was all happy about 4 deals.
You
It
know,
just
you
it'll be interesting.
it will be. In fact, I'm gonna keep you in my Rolodex as a possible financial backer now. How about that?
I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you.
Yeah,
I want to see
I'm
you
sure.
at 15 deals next year.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that number. Yes.
So before we wrap it up, I just want to ask you, is there any parting words that you have for anybody? Any advice that you have for anybody as far as how to get started? And in particular, advice for women or advice for single parents, because I know you are you're not a parent yourself, but you are a step parent in the sense that your boyfriend Andrew has kids, so he's a single dad. And we all know I'm a single dad, Tommy's a single dad, and you come from a single parent, so you understand the struggle that's involved in that. So is there any advice that you want to offer people that are out there kind of wondering, how can I make it, how can I get my piece of the American pie?
Right, right. I mean, I kind of give my like little tidbits throughout, so if I watch it, I could like tell you later exactly all my little advice. That I think of it like kind of as I go. But the main thing, and I hear this all the time from multiple people, the main thing is you have to take action. Action, action, action. That's huge, like if you just take all these classes and you never get a deal, you never do anything, then you're never going to learn anything. I've learned more in doing one mobile home deal than I could have taken a whole bunch of classes, because then you're able to implement the classes you've taken. But just you have to take action. I think that's huge. Don't be afraid. I mean, if you need help, like I I am more than willing to um, like help people out if they want to just call me and ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out. I know some people have called me and say they would rather call me because I'm not as intimidating as say someone else that has been doing mobile homes for a long time. Not saying like, they don't want to call Andy. I'm just saying in general, like they don't feel intimidated talking to me.
Mhm.
And I really don't mind helping. Like if they just want me to come look at a home, like I did today, I may or may not partner with this guy, but I'm okay just going there and giving him my opinion, and he wants to know about the park. I'll tell him about the park. Like I just feel like what goes around comes around. People have helped me out so much, and I just want to be able to pay it forward. As far as being a woman, I actually found out that I always thought men would have an upper hand, because they're men and they're strong and they're harder to say no to. But I feel like I'm, again, less intimidating. So when I'm talking to a seller, they don't feel like I'm taking advantage of them. They're not as intimidated. So I feel like I do have an upper hand in that sense, being a woman.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't really, at first I thought it was like a con or a weakness, and I found out it is the complete opposite. So,
Well, let me ask you this question then, because some things that, as men, we don't really think about that much when it comes to doing the business. You're going around, you're talking to strangers all the time, going in and out of houses or mobile homes. Have you ever felt intimidated in any kind of way? Being in a situation where you're getting a weird vibe from a dude, uh, you know, any of those sorts of things. I mean, has that been a problem for you?
I, no, I've never felt that. I usually talk to people on the phone first, so I can kind of get like a feel for people, ask them questions. You can see if they're serious or not. If I do go somewhere and say I do have like I mean, something my dad taught me, I have to always let someone know where I am, So usually I tell my boyfriend, oh, hey, I'm going to go check out this house over here, or you know, something like that. I mean, I did that when I was dating. You know, if I was meeting a guy for a first time, I would text my friend, hey, I'm meeting this guy, this is what he looks like, and here's where I'm going to be, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. So I think a lot of girls, you know, we do that in general. So if you feel feel unsafe or something, bring someone with you. I'm pretty sure if I called you, Alvin, I said, hey, do you have some time sometime next week to go with me look at this house, you would make time for me to go.
Of course I would. Of
Yeah.
course I would. I'd ask you to make sure you include a 40 of Mickey's, you know what I'm saying? But of course, for free, anything for
Yeah.
Farrah. Yes, yes.
But I'm saying there's plenty of like people that you meet that will go with you. And if anyone hasn't even met me and just call me, hey Farrah, you know, I want you to go with me look at this house, like I did today, right? I'll go. So if anyone, like, you know, maybe we'll put my information in the link or something like that. So if
Yes,
someone wants to get a hold of me and wants to do that,
absolutely.
I'm totally open to do that if they want a buddy or something. But as far as being a single parent, because I don't personally have my own kids, yes, Andrew does have 2 boys, and then my mom was a single mom. I mean, I know it's hard for people that are single parents, but that shouldn't discourage anyone, because I mean, look at you're doing it, single parent. Tommy, you know, I'm pretty sure, I don't know your background that much, but you're doing it too. And Andrew like wants to do more, but he's working at Costco. So the sacrifice we're making right now is well, it's not really a sacrifice, but I'm doing this, and then once it picks up and we're doing more and we're comfortable, then he can quit and then he can join the business.
Okay. And you know what? And the other thing too that I want to bring up as far as single parents are concerned, it's really the whole point in having this network, like you were saying before, because we all talk to each other and we're all talking deals with each other and going over the deals and all the terms and all the numbers. And that's something that a lot of times, and you know, when you grow up in the middle class or you're poor, you don't talk about money, you don't talk about numbers and things like that a lot, and that's important conversations to have so that people develop a language for that. But the point that I want to make here is that because I have to have this network of people that I can rely on and call up, as a single parent, it makes it a heck of a lot easier, and it makes you feel like you're not going at it alone, because there are plenty of single parents in the club in within itself. So there's always the support of a group of people who think alike and you know are doing the same activities that you could always fall back on. And you're one of those people that I consider to be, you know, in my tight circle of friends who are investors, you know, people like us that are coming up together, so to speak. And so that was part of the reason why I wanted to start the channel and why I asked you to come on here, because it would be one thing for me to have been a millionaire and then start doing YouTube, but it's another thing entirely to start it from the ground up. And so let people that want to join this channel grow with us. Let's like we're growing together. And and I appreciate you being on here. I really do,
Yeah,
Farrah, because
I'm always open to sharing, talking. I get excited because I learn as I'm talking. I'm like, man, I know more than I realized I knew, you know. So when I'm talking about it, I'm just like, wow, I've come a long way, you know. That's why I'm saying it would be really interesting to see in one more year where I would be, because I remember saying that a year ago, you know, when I started and got my first deal. I'm like, man, how much am I going to know in 1 year? So when you said, oh, it's been a year, I'm like, wow, here I am 1 year later,
yeah,
and this is where I am. And it's really interesting to just see how much I have learned and still learning. And I'm pretty sure we'll never be done learning. But yeah, so it's been fun. Thank you for having me.
no problem at all. And I'm sure I'll be getting you back on in another few months to check on your progress and see.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You'll probably hit 15 deals by the time we get to December anyway. So
Oh, oh my, I'll try. I don't know. I like the year. I was planning on like my goal was like one a month, because last year that was my goal, and four is not bad, so it's better than zero, right?
No, no, certainly not. It's just that I think like when you start this whole thing, the momentum sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you were saying about how you wanted to take a break, but you can't find the time. I think that's gonna become part of the norm as opposed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
not, And so yeah, because I look at Andy and it's like you said, Andy says the same thing. He's been trying to take a vacation for 5 years now, right? Can't seem to do it.
I don't know how long he's been trying, but he's been trying for a long time, and he
Right.
had a few months off, and I think it's kind of like when a deal comes across and you see it, you're like, it's a good deal though,
Yeah.
and you do get excited. Um, I'm excited for the next one, and going forward, if it's with a partner, by myself, just seeing where things go. Yeah.
Right. And Tommy, any last words that you have for Miss Farrah before she takes off and off to back to the mobile home park, make more money?
I already went there today. I was already there today. I'm not going back today.
I don't. I don't have any questions or anything, but I do wish her nothing but the best of luck. She's doing a great job. She's killing it right now, and I just would like for her to continue moving forward.
All right. Cool. All right, Farrah, we will put your contact information up on the screen, whatever you want to share with everybody. We'll get your number up there, email address, all that jazz. And thank you again for being on what is this, a show? Is this a podcast? What the hell is this? I don't know. It's it's
It's a bunch of degenerates getting
it,
together.
it that's what it
Filthy.
is. It's a
No, I'm
bunch
kidding.
of